Good morning. Welcome to the Finance Committee of June 17th. It's 9:30 a.m. Let's begin with introductions. To my far left,
Brittany Norris for the administration.
Colleen Hampsey, Council Research.
Mary Stefopoulos, Office of General Counsel.
Phil Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Brian Parks, Council Auditor's Office.
Good morning, Raul Arias, District 11.
Will Lane in District 3.
Terrence Freeman at large, Group 1.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at large.
Nick Howland at large, Group 3.
Good morning, Rory Diamond, District 13, The Beaches.
Jacoby Pittman, District 10.
Randy White, District 12, just visiting.
Good morning, Matt Carlucci at large, Group 4, just visiting.
Committee members, there's a small token of my appreciation on your desk for all the hard work that we have put in over the last year between the finance hearings and these committee meetings. I think we've had a terrific committee. I'm grateful for all of you for what we've accomplished, and just wanted to show just a small token of my appreciation. Thank you all. I'm very grateful to all of you. Let me go through the agenda. We have a full agenda today. Number one, we've got a debt affordability presentation. We have the council auditor who's not here, but I think Brian's going to do a couple of presentations on the waste haulers contract audit and the city accounts payable audit. And then let me go through the agenda. We've got a couple items we're going to pull towards the front for President White. One is the zoo bill, which is item number 8. After that, and the other one is item near the back, the $99,000 bill. Item number 50. Okay, item number 50 and 28 we'll do first for President White after that. So item number 1, 627 is deferred. Item number 2, 966 is deferred. Item number 3, 2025-11 is deferred. And item number 4, 2025-188. I will be deferring this bill when it comes time. Item number 5, 2025-285 is an amend and move. I will have an amendment on that one, and I will pass the gavel to Vice Chair Freeman for that. Item number 6 is a withdrawal. 2025-291. Item number 7, 2025-361 is deferred. Item number 8, 2025-632 is a move. That's the one we'll move towards the front. Item number 9, 2025-372 is an amended move. Item number 10, 2025-373 is a move. Item number 11, 2025-374 is amended move. Item number 12, 2025-375 is a move. Item number 13, 2025-376 is a move. Item number 14, 2025-377 is an amended move. Item number 15, 2025-378 is an amended move. Item number 16, 2025-379 is a move. 17, 2025-380 is a move. 18, 2025-381 is a move. Item number 19, 2025-382. I will have an amendment on this bill to change the funding source for this, and I will pass the gavel to Vice Chair Freeman again. Item number 20, 2025-383 is an amended move. Item number 21, 2025-384 is a move. Item number 22, 2025-385 is a rules amendment and a move. I'm sure there'll be some discussion on that bill. Item number 23 is a defer. Item number 24 is a 2025-388 is an amended move. 25, 2025-389 is an amended move. Item number 26, 2025-390 is a defer. Item number 2025-391 is a move. Item number 28, 2025-402 is an amended move. 29, 2025-403 is an amended move. 30, 2025-404 is an amended move. 31, 2025-405 is a move. 32, 2025-407 is a move. 33, 2025-409 is an amended move. 34, 2025-411 is an amended move. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48 are all on second reading. 49, 2025-437 is an emergency amend and move. 50, 2025-440 is an emergency, and that's one of the ones we'll take up near the beginning. 51, 2025-446 is an emergency and move, and I believe that's it. Any questions on that, committee members? Okay, let's go back towards our presentations. Debt affordability study. Can we get you gentlemen to introduce yourselves? They're planning on about 15 minutes for this presentation, and I'm certain there may be some questions on this as well. And there's a booklet on your desk.
Yeah, good morning, Chair Salem and members of the Finance Committee.
I don't think your mic's
can you hear
on.
me? Okay, do I need to push it? Okay,
Just get a little closer to it.
good morning.
There you go.
Yeah, good morning, Chair Salem and members of the Finance Committee. I'm Chris Cicero, the City Treasurer, and with me is Roger Phillips, the Senior Debt Manager. Per your request, we are here to present the baseline debt affordability study, which was issued by the May 31st deadline. However, based on feedback from you and the council auditors, we have made some adjustments and issued a revised baseline version dated June 11th, which is the handout that should have been passed out. So can we bring up the presentation? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Will, your question is after the presentation.
So what is the debt affordability study? It is a tool to help explain the relative impact of borrowing over time and help guide decision-making during the budgeting process. It relates to the concept of capacity versus affordability by helping evaluate how much debt should be issued versus how much can be issued. Code Section 110.514 governs the annual debt affordability analysis, in which the council declared that it is the policy of the city to exercise prudence in undertaking the authorization and issuance of debt. It prescribes the what and the when of the debt affordability analysis, and it further states that the city must continue to maintain its excellent credit ratings with investors. And also, Code Section 110.516 establishes the actual debt management parameters along with the relevant targets. These code-established ratios and metrics help guide the way we manage debt. It is important to distinguish between this baseline version and the upcoming budget update version. This baseline version, it reflects the city's expected debt position at the end of this fiscal year, plus estimated additional debt issuances from previously authorized debt-funded projects. The baseline does not include borrowings that may be in the proposed budget in the next several months. The second version, which is referred to as the budget update, will include the borrowings from the mayor's proposed 5-year CIP and be issued in late July and presented during the August budget hearings. Therefore, this baseline version is a starting point before considering additional borrowings for the upcoming budget cycle. Yeah, currently all debt ratios are well within their targets and minimums and maximums due to recent physically responsible budgets, a robust local economy, growing tax revenues, modest increases in debt, and only borrowing to cover actual project expenses while consistently paying down debt. And we have historically refinanced higher cost debt when economically viable, and over the past several years, there have been generous operating and emergency reserves. Ratings, what are they? The credit ratings are assigned to assist investors in evaluating the riskiness of various fixed income securities, such as bonds. The three most relevant rating agencies in the U.S. are S&P, Fitch, and Moody's. Kroll, a rising rating agency, also initiated coverage with the city back in 2021. As far as a ratings downgrade, that does not necessarily mean that the issuer has or will default, but the rating agency believes that the risk of default may have increased. AAA rating would be the highest, with anything below BBB it would be considered non-investment grade. The city's current ratings and some recent comments, but S&P and Kroll recently affirmed the city's AA credit ratings, with Fitch and Moody's having recently upgraded the city's bonds in 24. Fitch upgraded to AA plus from AA, and Moody's upgraded some transportation bonds to AA2 from AA3. And all of the city's bonds have a stable outlook. And there are some recent favorable comments. The snapshot of the debt affordability ratios. Referring to your handout on pages 4 and 5 of the baseline report, we list and describe each of the 7 debt measures, and the table on page 5 summarizes the calculated amounts for the current report, the targets, the minimums, or the maximums. You'll note that all metrics are in green, which indicates we are currently in a favorable position in relation to the targets. Page 6 of the report shows that our projected outstanding debt for September 2025 will be $2.4 billion, which includes about $1.7 of general fund enterprise debt and $657 of BJP debt. This graph on page 7 of the report shows historical and projected tax-supported debt outstanding, and this overlapping debt is a debt that the school board issues. And we include that there to kind of show the total burden on the total tax base. But you can see the general government debt going up more in 25 and 26 than in the past, which is primarily a function of a larger capital program and the layering in of $850 million of previously authorized debt-funded projects and 26 onward. But we're also netting out about $1.1 billion of debt paid down over the next 6 years. The graph on page 8 of the report shows historical and projected debt service, which shows a blending in of the increased debt service from the debt outstanding from the previous graph. Page 12 of the report includes 2 tables, one with the growth rate and interest rate assumptions. And you can see that we have to assume various rates, and like the estimated full value, which is the property tax base, is we assume it going up by 2%, with population increase going up a little over 1%, and general fund revenues at 2%. And then we make some assumptions around interest rates, about 5.25% for the fixed rate and 4 3/4 for the variable rate. The table on the bottom is a summary of the $1.1 billion of debt paydown over the next 6 years. And you can see the about $650 million would be the general debt and $476 million of the BJP debt. The page 13 of the report presents a picture of the debt outstanding through FY30, assuming no further debt authorizations occur. You can see the existing general fund debt is in blue, plus the projected debt for previously authorized CIP is in green, and then adding in the BJP debt gets us up to the top blue line. Now, this slide here starts the graphical representations of the 7 debt metrics along with the targets and related minimums or maximums, which are pages 15 through 21 of the baseline report. This slide is page 15 of the report, which is a graph of the city's overall debt as a percent of full market value and is well under the target metric. This measure compares debt levels against the property tax base, which is the city's largest source of revenues. And, we're well, below the target there. And lower is better on that one. Page 16 of the report shows the GSD revenues, or GSD debt service as a percent of GSD revenues, which is currently under the target, and lower is better on this one. It is a measure of annual debt service and the percentage of revenue that is needed to cover debt service. Page 17 of the report shows the unassigned GSD reserves plus emergency reserves as a percent of GSD revenues. This metric remains strong and is presented on an actual basis for the most recent fiscal year end. Higher is better. This metric is an indication of the city's ability to handle unforeseen events that might occur. This metric is unassigned GSD reserves as a percent of GSD revenues, similar to the last metric, except it excludes the emergency reserve, and it shows similar strength as well. And higher is better. Page 19 of the report is the 10-year pay down for all city debt, which shows we remain above our target and minimums, and higher is better. This metric and the next one shows the importance of consistently paying down debt over time versus burdening future taxpayers by delaying principal pay down. So this is the 10-year pay down just for the GSD debt, and generally shows remain near our target and well above the minimums. Higher is better. The last debt metric on page 21 of the report shows debt per capita, which is above our target but below the maximum. Lower the better. The metric includes all city debt plus the overlapping debt from the school board, which is a way of assessing the total debt burden on taxpayers. I would like to further point out that this baseline metrics are the starting point before we layer in additional debt issuances that may be contemplated during the upcoming budget cycle. And when you approve the upcoming 5-year CIP for FY 26 through 30, you're only authorizing additional debt funding for 26 only. And if ever needed, Section 110.516 contains waiver language where a supermajority of council members shall be required for a waiver of 2 or more debt parameters at the time of authorizing the next year of borrowing outlined in the CIP. This concludes the presentation, and we welcome any questions.
Councilmember Lannon, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. And through the Chair, I thank you, Chris and Roger, for putting up with all of my very many questions on this. And I've said it before, the debt affordability study is one of the 2 most important reports we get, the other being the Schedule B3, which has our 5-year projections of deficits or ideally surpluses one day. I did want to point out a couple things. So the first thing I always ask is, how did we do compared to year over year? Kind of a mixed bag. Some got a little better, some stayed flat. I did want to point out the 3rd and 4th on page 5. That's the unassigned general fund balance as percent of our revenues. They had fairly substantial reduction, and that's because, again, the year we were elected, we had $416 million in the general fund. I know there's going to be some favorable adjustments, but it's going to be somewhere in the 300s. And so just this year, since October 1st, we've appropriated $67 million out of the general fund or our operating reserves. So just want to point that out, that as we have extra money, whether it's DOGE, JEA, whatever, I'm going to keep on talking about one of the priorities is how we can build back up the general fund, because one of the benefits of the general fund, it's passive income for us. We're getting $30 million this year that we budgeted for on the interest and other earnings just on what the general fund balance was. So again, as the general fund balance goes down, so does our annual revenue as well. Second and more concerning one is just about 4 years ago, the managed debt portion of our CIP greatly increased. We had a run rate of about 200. It's now roughly 400 million. So you go back to fiscal year 22, we paid $76 million in principal and interest that we had to put, and that's the general fund amount that came out of the general fund. So 76 million. This year it's going to be 109 million, so we've gone up 45% in 3 years, which is much higher than we can ever expect just our annual property tax revenue to go up. So again, I've kind of mentioned now many times my 4 key factors to focus on if we ever want to have a serious conversation about lowering the millage rate, and managed debt portion of the CIP is a big one. So again, just as we have, whether it's an over-accrual of one fund, Doge money, JEA money, whatever, certainly whatever we can switch from managed debt to cash, as well as what we can do to build up our general fund or some combination thereof. Lastly, although I very much hate debt, who doesn't love a good debt management policy? There's a bill coming up that I've worked with our treasurer, their department, as well as our CFO on. It's 2025-434. It's on second read. We will be discussing that at the next Finance Committee, whoever that is, but I hope you take a look at that. Just has some changes as for our how we manage our debt currently, and just some changes I think will make it an even better policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Can someone provide me the $61 million we have pulled out of the reserves this year?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, we can get that to you.
Yeah, I think the whole committee would like to see that.
We'll send it out this week.
Yeah, that, just off the top of my head, I'm not aware of $61 million. I'd like to see that. I see no other questions on the queue. Oh, I'm sorry. Will?
Sure. To the chair and to the committee. I mean, I think it's basically a combination of the cash incentives that were not specifically budgeted for. $8 million will come out because it was appropriated if we were going to do the land purchase year bill, so it will lower by $8 million. So I guess we're down to $59 million after that. I'm trying to think of the other big pieces off the top of my head, but it's probably we just better have Mr. Peterson send us the completely reconciled list. But the $67 million was confirmed with Ms. Taylor last week when I asked.
I trust your memory, but I'd like to see it in writing. Sure. Mr. Howland, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, you showed a chart, and I'm looking through it right now. It was dollar debt per capita, and it was now exceeded. It was on page 21, and now in fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26, it's now exceeding the target rate. Can you tell me how much of that? You also mentioned that includes the school board's debt. Can you tell me how much of that is school board debt first, and if school board debt was taken out, would we be under the target rate? That's probably hard to calculate.
Yeah, well,
right now.
you can look back on page 7 of the report as far as looking for how much is the overlapping debt from the school board.
That looks like about
it's about $905 billion.
$905 million. And there was a
yeah.
big issuance in fiscal year 23 that upped the overlapping debt.
Yeah, you can see that. And so that's probably a quarter of the dollar per capita,
right?
Maybe, which would put us under, but then that would also, you would expect the target to come under if you took out the target to come down. How does that compare if we're looking at about $2,900 in fiscal year 26, 29, 26? Do you know how that compares to other like metropolitan areas?
Let's see. I don't think we have that metric, that comparison, but we could get that for you.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
You do have that metric. It's on page 15.
Oh, okay.
15?
Yes. If you go to page 15 through the chair, there'll be a debt per capita, and then you'll see like 2828 for the Jacksonville, 2593 for Broward County.
I do see that. Maybe it's in here.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at electronic version, so it makes. I apologize.
There we go.
Okay. I was going to say I didn't see it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, I
Hard
apologize.
copy,
It is
14.
on page 14. Thank you, Brian.
Okay. Councilmember, let me mention that President-elect Carrico has joined us, and let me recognize Councilmember Carlucci. You were on the queue, sir. If not, we'll move on. Okay, thank you. Okay. Brian Parks, you want to do the other two?
If I could just comment 2 things on the debt affordability that we just want to emphasize as well, which is, as they mentioned, this does not include the 5-year CIP, the CIP coming up, which will make many of these, like the outlook on the debt per capita on those out years will be going up. It's not going to necessarily be doing this going down. The other piece is when you're comparing this to the baseline last year, that was before the BJP swap, which moved a lot of previously authorized to paying it with cash and moved it to where we're going to have added more debt in the future years for the stadium. So there's many of these numbers when you're comparing it to last year may look better, and it's because of the BJP swap. And I just want to emphasize those 2 points. You know, I know they went through a lot there. I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Yep. All right. So if we're on to that, the first report I'm going to... Yep. The first report I'm going to report on is the residential haulers audit, which was report number 891. This was, the scope of this audit was to determine whether all payments from city's solid waste division to the residential waste haulers were properly supported, accurately calculated, correctly authorized, and timely paid. The scope of this audit was calendar years 21 and 22. For the detailed testing phase of the audit, we obtained a listing of all invoice and payments within the audit scope. Within the audit scope, the solid waste division processed payments to the haulers totaling $76.4 million, just to give you some context. For each invoice and payment, we recalculated the amounts based on the premises, compared base rates, et cetera. We also did some additional judgmental selecting of 6 months within the scope to confirm that the premise counts coming from the subsystems that help them update it were being done properly, and also recalculated liquidated damages based on the complaints put into the customer care system of the City of Jacksonville. Our conclusion, overall payments from the City Solid Waste Division to the haulers for residential waste collection and transportation services were properly supported and correctly authorized. However, while payments might have been materially accurate compared to what should have been paid, we did find significant issues with the Solid Waste Division's method of calculating liquidated damages and items Solid Waste Division included on invoices that were not within the scope of the contract, which impact the accuracy of the payments. There were also numerous issues with the timeliness of payments by the city. Some specific findings included a $600,000 payment to a hauler and a $66,000 reduction in a payment to a hauler that both appear to be outside the terms of the contract. For one, the hauler was paid $600,000 on a November 22 invoice stating it was for a call truck for storm debris. Solid Waste indicated that it was for reimbursing the hauler for third-party costs the hauler incurred to assist with collections. While the invoice stated the storm debris, we were informed that it was caused by the driver shortages at the time, which line up with the suspension of recycling services in October of 2021, which is when this payment's related to. There was also, around the same time in 2021, a $66,000 reduction in a payment to a hauler to account for costs paid by the city to hire a third-party hauler to assist with the pickup during those driver shortages. Various issues with the monthly liquidated damage calculations included, first off, the liquidated damages can be assessed and can be reversed in subsequent months if certain criteria are met for certain types of liquidated damages. We found that the liquidated damages calculation was $7.7 to $12.6 million less than it should have been calculated as. However, that does not mean they should have actually charged, as that could have caused further disruptions. Obviously, if they completely reduce the payment to nothing, probably the solid waste is not being picked up. And so it's a may on liquidated damages. It's not meant to be punitive, but you should be calculating it as the contract says, so you have an idea of how people are truly performing, and also you're monitoring what you're waiving, et cetera. Couple of issues with the calculations is if a complaint was received in 1 month and closed in another, it was not factored into liquidated damages, even if it was resolved late. Due dates to resolve issues were not being entered timely by the haulers, and how they were used to calculate the liquidated damages was not consistent. Liquidated damages did not include messy collections and did not always look at maximum per routes, which actually could result in over-assessing a liquidated damage. Because sometimes there's caps of $150 for one route for missed houses and stuff. Issues with the monthly premise counts used for payments, which resulted in a net underpayment of $36,000. 2 haulers exceeded the annual fuel cap, resulting in the city overpaying by almost $350,000. And the invoice template created by the Solid Waste Division had improvements to help ensure proper payment that could be made. That's a brief overview. I will say is The department agreed with everything in our findings and stuff like that as it relates to the overpayments. Their context on many of these would be we were in unique times during 2021 related to the hauler pickups, and so that caused some issues there. However, there's a lot of policies and procedures that need to be implemented, and they have agreed to do those things. So,
When will you perform another audit to verify that they've implemented those procedures? Understanding it was during COVID and it was a crazy time for garbage, that's for sure.
Our aim is, generally speaking, about 12 to 18 months, and the reason being we like to see you actually put in the new processes and have been doing it for about a year. So it's not like you put in the process, do it for a month, we come in and check, and then you stop doing it. So we want to see that it's recurring and happening. And so we'll follow up 12 to 18 months. And as you get those follow-ups, we will follow up again after for anything not resolved and keep communicating to you on any issues.
And solid waste now is under a different director as well, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. But he is up to speed on all
Yes,
this.
we met with him on, there was a few questions when we were working through the report responses, and we met with the new director and stuff like that as well, and everybody's on the same page.
Okay. I have no speakers in the queue. Let's move towards the city accounts payable audit.
All right, so the city accounts payable audit objective was to determine whether payments to vendors were accurate in amount, properly supported, and approved and paid in a timely manner. Our scope on this item was a little bit odd. It was October 1st, 2023 through January 31st, 2024. We were trying to focus in on a kind of a cutoff testing related to the end of a fiscal year and also do the most up-to-date testing at that time. Our scope did not include wire transfers out or payments that were initiated and approved outside the accounts payable module. Those would be subject to future audits as we kind of audit the new processes in the new financial system. Just to give you a little context, we randomly selected 200 invoices for testing, 100 were related to POs and 100 related to non-POs. We reviewed documentation on file to verify there was proper support. We recalculated the invoice amount, verified Florida sales tax was excluded, verified the amount paid was accurate based on underlying support, confirmed that payments were approved properly for payment by reviewing approval laws in the financial system, and confirmed that they were paid timely. We additionally performed analytical procedures to identify potential duplicate payments, identify fictitious vendors, verify the timeliness of payments, verify proper approvals, and verify there was no other items that indicated an issue with the payment themselves. Our conclusion was, while it appears that payments to vendors were overall accurate in amount and properly supported and approved, we did find several significant issues and control weaknesses that need to be addressed related to those areas. Additionally, payments did not appear to be issued in a timely manner. That has kind of been a recurring issue for many, many years with the city, kind of the timeliness, and that's sometimes the department, sometimes with the accounting process, et cetera. Our specific findings included deficiencies in the written policies and procedures relating to the accounts payable function. Several critical processes were not documented, lacked essential details, or were not updated based on the new financial system implemented in February of 2020. Just to kind of give an example, supplier account setup to ensure not creating duplicates, how to use the IRS tax identification number matching service, and how to handle discrepancies in the supplier name and number. Are just some of the examples. We have them all detailed in the report. Users had excessive access rights in the financial system related to the accounts payable. Examples included 4 Treasury employees were assigned the accounts payable invoice supervisor role that enabled them to create, edit, delete, and validate invoices, which was not within their job function. 4 employees were granted roles enabling them to approve invoices in the financial system, even though they did not work in accounting division. 1 employee retained the accounts payable specialist role, even though they no longer worked in accounting division. Again, there were some other examples. I just want mentioning a few to give you some context. A total of 241 user accounts in the financial system belonged to former city employees or accounts that were set up as part of the hiring process who never started employment, that had not been deactivated as of September 9th, 2024. Changes were made to supplier bank accounts information by accounting division employees, with the most changes being made by the employee responsible for actually creating the payment files in the system. That's a control weakness. Duplicate payments of over $3.8 million were processed but later identified by the city. Even, it's good that they were identified, but still a problem that they were paid to begin with. Timeliness issues with payments, bank reconciliations, and processing of credit memos and requesting refunds. City departments were creating cover sheets / cover letters to act as an invoice for the payment processing aspect of the system to read it better. They shouldn't be creating invoices that kind of, or invoice-like items that defeats part of the control process. Duplicate supplier accounts in the financial system were identified, and invoices were not always being properly linked to purchase orders, which can lead to exceeding the procurement authority. Those were the main points. Again, we worked through them with everything. They were in agreement in the end of, they were updating their policies, and I will say even on the policies themselves, some of them were being updated as we started asking questions. We still noted an issue because it should have been in place prior to us asking about it. So let me know if there's any questions.
There's no one in the queue. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we're ready to get into the agenda. If you'll move to page 6, item number 8, 2025-362. No, that's a... Move the bill. Okay, Councilmember Freeman, I have an amendment on this bill. So if you'll recognize me.
Mr. Chair, you're recognized.
My amendment is one that I discussed previously with the zoo staff, and they're nodding their head, that there will be no other capital payments issued until the $12 million is matched over a period of time. Mary, did I say that correctly?
To the chair, I believe so, that you had referenced this during the last committee meeting when this item came up, and I believe there was some agreement to that from the podium, from the representative from the zoo, and you may want to just seek if they make them confirm or ask them to confirm that one more time. But yes, it's my understanding the intent was that once they've achieved their match for the $12 million being addressed in this bill, they can come back potentially and get the last payment. I believe there's an additional $4 million payment that would make for a total of $16 million. They would be able to obtain that additional payment, or if they were going to seek any additional funding from the city, that they would just have to reflect that they've matched the 12.
Okay, thank you. So we have an amendment offered by the chair. So we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Any discussion on the sale?
The gentleman, I think, to verify they're okay.
Got it. If you state your name and address, please.
Jeff Etling, President and CEO, Jacksonville Zoo and Botanical Garden. And we verify what's been stated here.
All right, thank you. Seeing no one in the queue, you want us to do this with a hand raise? All in favor? We'll raise our hands. All in favor of the Salem Amendment, please raise your hand. Those opposed, you have the same right. The amendment carries. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Back to you.
Back to me. Mr. Howland is in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support our zoo. I support pulling forward this capital investment into next year instead of over the next several years. I just have a question for the auditors, whether it's Mr. Peterson or Mr. Parks. What will be the operating budget implication of increased debt service for pulling this forward? Is it significant? Do we have a figure on that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Howland, all in on the $12 million, I think it's safe to estimate 950,000 following our standard rule of thumb. But that's on the full $12 million. If we waited to do the $4 million year by year by year, in year 3, we'd still be at that full 950 because we would have issued it. We're just advancing it a little bit sooner. So
it's not a huge budget implication. It's just advanced, paying the debt service earlier.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I have a motion on the bill as amended. Mr. Arias.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to support this because I love the zoo. I love what they do and what they bring to the city. I just think we need to be more careful of how we proceed moving forward with these because this is not the first and the last time this is going to happen. I know we're going to have the MOSH coming up at some point, and we're essentially, like Mr. Ken Moreno says, we're opening Pandora's box. And people are going to start hearing this, and they're going to start asking for the same thing moving forward. Even though they tell us this is the term of the deals, this is what we're requesting for 5 years, and then they come back a year later saying we actually got to amend that, and we got to change it, give us the money up front if we can. Once again, I'm definitely supporting the zoo, and I want to support their cause, but I feel that if we do this for them, we're going to have to do this for everybody else. So just keep that in mind moving forward, that we can't be any sort of weight towards other people. And it goes back to what I'm going to say later on today throughout the agenda, but we just need to be consistent. If we say something from the beginning, if somebody does the deal with us from the beginning. We need to hold them accountable. They need to hold us accountable, and we need to be consistent moving forward. And what I've seen in the last 2.5 years here in council is that we're not consistent. We have a deal, and the deals are always amended mid-years or 2 years later. So in business, this wouldn't fly, and somebody will be penalized. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arias. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I love the zoo and would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Okay. I have no one else in the queue. You're not popping up, Mr. Carlucci. Can someone check his computer? Okay, that's fine. We can do that. It just popped up. Okay, we have a motion and a second. The bill is moved as amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-362 as amended. Committee members, I forgot the public comment. I was watching. I should have known better after watching. David Stevens is here for questions only on 405. Mr. Spradley, on workforce development, item number 22. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, council members. My name is Jesse Spradley. I'm with the Northeast Florida Builders Association here speaking about 2025-0385 and our support of the discussion surrounding workforce housing in that bill. Really, I'm here, though, to introduce our Workforce Development Director, Christina Thomas, who oversees our apprenticeship program, to speak about how we are currently growing that program and the opportunities for this council to support our Workforce Development Center.
Thank you. Christina Thomas, 6747 South Point Parkway. So I know that I spoke with many of you guys yesterday, so I'll kind of do the Cliffs Notes on the program. We've been around for 53 years to providing workforce development in the form of apprenticeship. It's important to understand that apprenticeship has both a workforce component, so all of our apprentices work full-time within the community. The impact locally from an economic standpoint is about $24 million of their wages are going right back down into the community. So any investment in an apprenticeship program that is tuition-free by nature is an investment in both workforce and economic development. We are seeing tremendous growth in our area, and we're also seeing tremendous growth and interest with our youth. Youth enrollment is up about 45% in the last several years, and the most common age of people coming to our program is 18, which means that there are young people that are choosing this particular area as where they want to spend their time. So I encourage you guys, as you're looking forward to being good stewards of resources, that you consider looking at what we are doing with our new Workforce Development Center, which will house 4 dedicated labs to that hands-on training, 11 classrooms. We will have, of course, our evening time for our apprenticeship, but we do look to expand into the daytime. So anything that you do with us will go into expanding those efforts. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I have one more speaker card, John Nooney. Mr. Nooney, you have 2 minutes.
All right. Hello, I am John Philanthropic Resiliency Nooney, 8356 Bascom Road, Jacksonville, Florida, 32216. I'll be touching on agenda items 1, 2, 3. Agenda item 4, 2025-0188, JEA, that's the River Accord. You remember Reed Island, Katie Jeffries, Jacksonville Waterways Commission, find land acquisition projects 158833-0000, Boylan 13405900000, Amaro 137044-0000, Carico. Agenda item 5, 2025-0285, vote no. Ethics is gone. Who's the city council liaison to the Environmental Protection Board? Okay, agenda item 8, I'm in support of that one. 11, 2025-0374, that's woke joke stuff. Okay, watch the waterways tape. Resiliency was a no-show. All right, 16, 2025-0379, FEMA stuff, not in waterways. Where are the 7 locations? 19, agenda item 21, 2025-0384, parking, that's the wheelchair gang. There used to be 1 million. It's down to 150K. It's not neighborhood, CPACs, 23, 2025-0386, down to 30-some seconds. That's 1.5 million, riverfront parks, not in waterways. Then you go to agenda item 38, 2025-0424. That's another riverfront plaza restaurant, 1 million there. That's not in waterways. Get on your knees and pray on that one. And then 2025-0409, that's a restaurant. That one is in waterways. And so anyway, that's part of the agenda. All I can just tell you is, if we're going to make this city great, market to the world, we have to open up our waterways. And when some of you talk about an inconsistency, the biggest one is on our waterways. All right, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Nooney. If you'll turn to page 28 on your agenda, item number 50. Mr. Hagan, did you want to come forward for some? I think you have a deferral request.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Chris Hagan, 208 North Laura Street. The original intent of the emergency was to hopefully get this out by June and have a contract by June. I think that was Indigo's original intent. They probably don't understand how contracts work with the city of Jacksonville, so we clearly know that that's probably not possible and happening. We were trying to do that before hurricane season. And so we're taking a one-cycle deferral. I guess we keep it as an emergency, so we'll still need 2/3 vote to move forward. But giving that the case, we're happy to go through the proper process.
Okay, so I'll defer it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go back to the front of the agenda. And I believe we'll go right straight through unless Council President-elect Carrico identifies a time issue. Item number 1, 2024-627 is deferred. Item number 2, 2024-966 is deferred. Item number 3, 2025-11 is deferred. Item number 4, 2025-188 is deferred. Item number 5, 2025-285. Move the Neighborhoods Amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, sir. Through the chair to the committee, the Neighborhoods Amendment expands those individuals that this new process would apply to not only include city council members and the mayor, but also to include directors of departments and or officers or managers of those that act like departments. So if you'll think of the Office of Economic Development or the Office of Administrative Services, those gentlemen are not labeled as directors, but it would apply to them, and then also include managers and supervisory positions within the office of the mayor. The amendment would also update the listing of Section 126-108 subsections after our rewrite of the procurement code a little over a year ago, strike references to code sections that no longer exist, clarifying that the affidavit that will be completed by the nonprofit will be attached as an exhibit to the bill once a future bill was filed, and then identifies the process that will be followed if a relationship is identified. Just for those who were not listening to NCS PHS yesterday, that process will be if the affidavit identifies a conflict in the relationship, that then procurement would be notified. It would be put out to RFI, or request for information, to see if other vendors would be interested in providing that service. Procurement would notify the bill sponsor, if you will, whether that be the mayor or the council member, of any responses that were received, and then it would be up to that individual whether or not they want to proceed with legislation with the direct contract or go through the RFP process. And included in the legislation, should they go that route, would be the number of responses that were received by procurement, and there's various scriveners as well.
Miss Mary, should I amend this amendment with my issue, or what's the best way to proceed?
To the chair, so you can do it that way, or if you want to pass this amendment, and then you can bring forward your amendment, and we can discuss at the end how we would file the finance amendment.
Okay, let's deal with this amendment first. I have no speakers on the queue. All in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Mr. Councilmember Freeman, would you recognize?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're recognized.
Okay, I have two amendments. Let me begin with the first one. The amendment you just discussed, I don't believe captures the mayor's office as I would like to capture the mayor's office. Many of the people up there are called directors, but they don't directly supervise people. So I want to make sure the mayor's office is completely captured. And my amendment is all staff in the mayor's office other than administrative personnel. And I believe that amendment would capture the following people, just so everyone knows who I'm dealing with. Tracy Polson, Melissa Ross, Garrett Dennis, Karen Bowling, Kelly O'Leary, Charles Griggs, Parvez Ahmed, Lynn Sherman, Dr. Josie, Phil Perry, Joe Enderhees, Bill Delaney, Brittany Norris, and Mike Weinstein.
And through the vice chair, just to clarify, so the
One second, I'm so sorry. So you've offered an amendment, and I believe, General Counsel, you're going to help clean it up a little bit. I just want to make sure we don't have a lot of crosstalk because this is going to get pretty complex. So I think I understand it, but OGC, you're recognized.
Thank you. Through the vice chair to the committee. So the intent of this amendment as proposed is that it would supplant the portion of the neighborhoods amendment where in the neighborhoods amendment summary you see on your agenda that it was intended to address from neighborhoods managers and supervisory positions within the mayor's office. So the intent of the Salem amendment would be to supplant that language with new language that says it would encompass all staff within the mayor's office except administrative support personnel. And by doing so, he has referenced in his mind and what we've discussed with him, the positions that would be included in those who would have to file, there would have to be an affidavit, and they would have to follow the new process under the code. So that's the nuance I wanted to be sure was clear to the committee, was that it would be supplanting part of that neighborhoods amendment.
Thank you so much, Mayor. So we have an amendment offered. Have we had a second for the amendment? So it's been moved and seconded, and we're open for discussion. Councilmember Lane, you're on the queue.
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, I support this. The only thing I was going to bring up, Dr. Joshi, I believe, is unpaid. I don't know if that meant he is paid.
Yes, he is.
Okay, I take back my question. Thank you.
No, he's I think 1 day a week, but he's paid at a physician's salary, I think, for that 1 day a week.
Got it. Thank you so much for that, Councilmember Lane. And I think that might be a first. That you've been wrong on something up here. So really, really appreciate that. Councilmember Pittman, you're recognized.
I did not get an opportunity to hear the meeting on yesterday, and it sounds very cumbersome with what we're discussing, to try to know who is employed with what organization. Was there a discussion about that, and how did we come up with the solution?
Thank you, Councilmember Pittman. Who are you directing that to?
Anyone that can answer.
All righty.
Question.
Would you like to?
What OGC
would you like
could probably answer that for me, please.
Either OGC or our auditors want to recap the last couple committee stops?
Please.
Through the chair to Councilmember Pittman. So the discussion that occurred in neighborhoods yesterday, and hopefully I characterized this correctly, but the original amendment came from Councilmember Miller, and his concern was that it was applying to 19 people on the city council side, but only one person on the executive branch side. And so his amendment was including those manager and supervisory positions, and then the directors, which I believe he was looking at high-level staff across the city that were appointed by the mayor, and then with specific high-level positions within the mayor's office that should also be taken into account when considering whether spouses or children are on a board of a nonprofit that is the intent of receiving funding.
And how will we do that? How will we know whether a spouse or children? I mean, what would be the process for that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Pittman. So when the mayor or a city council member wants to appropriate dollars to an entity, that entity will have to fill out an affidavit saying whether or not a spouse or a children of any of the identified positions are either on their board or are an employee of their agency. And once that affidavit is filled out by that organization, then the process laid out for either going through procurement or proceeding through legislation would occur.
Okay, so the nonprofit or entity is responsible for that, and then who is going to have oversight of that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Pittman, my assumption is that similar to how we do now, where if we want to, a council member wants to direct contract with an entity, if it's a Chapter 118 grant, it will fall under the Grants and Contract Compliance Division. If it's a grant with KHA, it would fall under KHA, but it would be on a case-by-case basis depending on the type of grant or the type of appropriation that is occurring.
Okay, so there will be oversight for transparency on both sides.
Through the chair to Councilmember Pittman, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pittman. Mr. Chair, Council President, Past President, would you like to add any more to that?
Yeah, I believe in transparency. I just believe that people that are dealing with these agreements with not-for-profits, the mayor's office is probably as much engaged in these as we are, ought to be under scrutiny as well. Let's let the sun shine in.
Okay, I see Mr. Peterson in the queue. Mr. Carlucci, you are in the queue as well, but I see Mr. Peterson.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I just need to correct one thing I said. This would not apply to KHA grants. This only applies to city grants, so it would fall under those that would apply where the Grants and Contract Compliance Division oversees.
Thank you, and I'll make a few brief comments. One, as I stated yesterday, this is a slippery slope that we're going down, and we're seeing where it's taking us now. It's only going to get bigger, I believe. How can anyone vote against transparency? None of us up here believe that less transparency is better for our city and garnering trust. I do feel compelled to say, as I said yesterday, having worked with Ms. Miller many times in the past on issues, I do not believe that her efforts and her work in the spirit of this was to attack anyone. But after hearing a comment of one of my colleagues in a previous committee meeting, it does appear that that has been the case of how this piece of legislation has been crafted. So that being said, I'm going to support it. I'm going to support the amendments as well because I believe more transparency is for the best. With that being said, Councilmember Carlucci, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Former Council President Carlucci would like to ask through the chair if we could hear from either and/or Joe Interhees or Carla Miller on what they think about this amendment.
Thank you,
That's okay with you.
Former Council President and for my attorney, my insurance guy, Carlucci. Thank you for that. Would anyone of the names that he mentioned like to come up and stand in the bright lights? Ms. Miller, please state your name.
Good morning. Carla Miller from the Mayor's Office. I'll stand in the light and address that amendment. Really, this is a policy issue. There's many ways to skin the cat here. How many people do you want to pull into this field where we scrutinize their family members to see if they have any involvement with the contract? It's your decision as policymakers how far you want to go. I can tell you from ethics legislation over the last 30 years that the bigger the group gets, the harder it is to enforce it, and the more it gets into a gotcha. And I think it's always important to prevent that from happening. You have to make it simple. I think the field that we've got, if you've got 20, 30 people, 40 people, that's doable. You can get out a list of everybody that is a department director or that's in the mayor's office. I think it's a little bit of administrative effort. So it's doable. Once you start getting bigger and bigger, what happens is it passes, and then like a year or two later, council has rescinded those because we don't get any valuable information, and it's a lot of effort. So I think the universe of what you're trying to develop here is just in your hands on how far you want to develop that. There's a lot of different ways you can do it.
Thank you for that, Ms. Miller, and my apologies to any cat lovers in the room. Does anybody else have any questions for Ms. Miller? Is it for Ms. Miller? Okay, then you're done. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Councilmember Past President Matt Carlucci, are you done with your questions? All right, cool. Then we'll go to next in the queue. Councilmember Diamond, you're recognized.
Thank you, sir. I'm fully in favor of this amendment. It makes brilliant sense to me. I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the Deegan, so I'm in. We need transparency across the board.
Can we vote on the amendment?
All right, seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor of the Salem Amendment, please raise your hand. Those opposed have the same right. The amendment carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Past President Freeman. I have a second amendment.
You're recognized.
Thank you. And this is through the administration that was provided to me, and I'll let Miss Mary summarize it for you.
Thank you.
Ms. Mary, you're recognized. OGC, Ms. Stavropoulos, you're recognized.
Thank you. Through the Vice Chair to the committee. So there was a concern raised during committees yesterday regarding some of the language pertaining to connections in the bill that were a part of this new process, and specifically with respect to members serving on boards of directors. And so in coordination with the Ms. Miller and the administration, an additional kind of exception was created to add, that would entail adding language to the bill that says, if the only connection that's listed in the affidavit that would be supplied by the nonprofit entity receiving the grant funds is a non-paid service on the board of directors. So someone's serving on the board of directors, a spouse or a child, but they're not paid in that position, then the nonprofit organization would supply the affidavit in accordance with that, but it would not require that it trigger the solicitation of additional suppliers or vendors for the services. So you would still get the affidavit for the purposes of transparency, but you would not be required to essentially send it out for RFP, and that part of the process wouldn't apply.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion, we have an amendment by Councilmember Salen. Can we have a second on that? We have a motion and a second on it. Any discussion on the Salem amendment? Seeing none, we'll do this by hand raise as well. All in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. Those opposed have the same right. The amendment carries.
Thank you, Councilmember Freeman. So now we are, how do you want to move forward with the bill now? Mary, you want one amendment?
If there's a consensus to roll it up, we could do that, and then we would file it as the finance amendment.
Okay.
And it would just have that one change compared to so you all approved the neighborhoods amendment, so it would encompass all parts of the neighborhood amendment, with the exception of that one part that was supplanted by Salem number 1. With respect to what positions are captured in the mayor's office. All other aspects of the neighborhoods amendment would carry forward into the finance amendment with those two changes that were just approved by the committee. So if we can roll them up, we would like to do so, and then you can just move the bill as amended if it's okay to roll them up.
You want to move the bill as amended? Okay, well, the bill has been moved as amended. No one else in the queue? Oh, Mr. Lanen.
Thank you, Chair. I'll support this. And not only just the transparency part, which I always believe, especially for nonprofits, but you said the word scrutiny, which is also a place I hope we get to. My amendment to Councilmember Diamond's immigration bill kind of flew under the radar, but if you recall, I request a report of just all nonprofit spend. And I think when we get that, we're going to see that it is a very large number. And so I think that we'll have some further follow-up discussions on that just to see if we think we're spending the right amount to the right organization. So anytime I see something for more transparency and scrutiny on our nonprofit spend, I'll always support it.
Councilmember Howland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to note that I'm proud of Neighborhoods Committee and Finance Committee for making these amendments to this bill. This bill was a policy introduced by the mayor. And recall, the only people allowed to make policy in city council or in the city government of Jacksonville are the 19 of us on city council. We're elected to make policy. The mayor's elected not to make policy, but to implement policy. So we put our fingerprints all over this policy. I'm glad we did. That's what we need to do, and we need to keep in mind that we're the policymakers, not the mayor. Thanks.
Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through the chair to OGC and auditors, just for my understanding and maybe others, if this bill were to pass on Tuesday, it becomes effective at that point moving forward, or will there be a look backwards?
Through the chair to Councilmember Freeman, so that it would be a prospective application. It would not be a retroactive application.
Thank you. And I believe I asked the question yesterday, but this is only for contracts and nonprofits with the city. This does not extend out to school board or any other entities.
Through the chair to Councilmember Freeman, you're absolutely correct. This is only for grants issued by the city under Chapter 118 of the code.
All right, thank you. Maybe they should look into it as well, though. Thank you.
Ms. Pittman, you're recognized.
I just wanted to make a comment. As being on this council, this is my second term, and in past, we've always had the mayor's office develop policy, or one of us develop policy on behalf. And I just would just like to say this. It's always, it seems in the past year, it's been like a tit for tat. And as council members voted by our residents in the community, I would really like to see us work together going forward. We're ending this year. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. And this policy that we're getting ready, or legislation getting ready to vote on, and going back and forth, and this is just Jacoby speaking, it's unacceptable. I just hate to see the work that and the time we spent on this. And I doubt if this would even happen a lot. Several of us who serve on the city council work for nonprofits. I mean, when you think about council members that are, or potential council members that are interested in running for office, and they see us discussing this kind of stuff. And the ones of us who are involved in nonprofits, we do the work. We have a track record. But when we come here, it makes it difficult. Me, I have to always abstain because I serve the homeless. Clara White Mission serve low income. We serve seniors. And it's like a one-stop shop. And when I come here, I feel like my hands are tied. And then when I hear this bill, when the mayor's office and city council should be working together, and this is not even a big issue. We got bigger fish to fry. And I hope as we go into our next fiscal year that we consider, number one, to not disrespect each other. Number two is to work with the mayor's office to get the work that needs to be done and the reason why our community voted us to be here. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Ms. Pittman, before I go to Councilman Freeman, I have to respond to your comment. This bill came to me 2 or 3 months ago. I may be the only member of this 19-member city council. My family is directly impacted by this bill, okay? Directly, immediately. And I brought it to the attention of the administration when they first came to me 2 or 3 months ago. I said, I have a problem here. Fix it. They did not move to fix it, which is why I have fixed it. I brought it to the attention of the ethics officer within the administration. She was not aware of it. Members of the administration were. They did nothing. Ms. Miller, when it was identified, immediately responded to my concern, and we have fixed it here. So understand, you weren't here yesterday, but that's why I have responded the way I did, because I'm going to protect my family, okay, when I think they're inappropriately attacked. And I think that was and I said it yesterday, I think that was the intent of what they did, okay? Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and one, kudos for you and standing for your family. I just want to go on record and saying, and I love the conversation of working together, and I'm all for it. But they always say past results are a good indicator of future performance. And I vividly remember going back to the very first budget when it was $3 million for homelessness, which was a top priority of mine. And I tried to just carve that $3 million out, not change where it was going, not change anything else, carve it out so those dollars could hit the street effective October 1 when we voted on it. And the rhetoric and the narrative that kept coming to me, not only from internal, from external, was leave the budget alone. The mayor's entitled to her budget. That has now placed me in a posture that as we finish years and as we're moving forward, anytime we as 19 council members get a chance to put our stamp on something, I can no longer wait until the budget time to do it because I understand the pressures that are going to come on us. So I am glad that we're doing this now. I'm going to always be willing to now moving forward because of what's happened to me in the past on an issue that was important to me and important to our city. And for the record, those dollars did not hit the street until the spring of the following year. So our homeless population that we were trying to help had to wait several months because of this working together that I'm hearing us ask for was not offered back then. And so I just want to make sure that I continue to put that on the record. Thank you.
I have Councilmember Howland, then we're going to vote.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to clarify, too, when I say that council makes policy, not the mayor. As the rules chair, I assign legislation to committee. And when this legislation came, it said, like it does right here, request of mayor. And there's lots of pieces of legislation that say request of mayor, but those are usually budget transfers, grant approvals, mayoral appointments. Rarely are they policy bills. So when I saw this one, I asked if they had actually gotten anyone specifically to introduce it on council, and they hadn't. So I kind of sent it back to them, and then they actually went and spoke with the council president. He said he's fine putting it in there. But my message to the mayor's office is just, if you have a piece of policy that you want introduced, there's only 19 people elected to do that. So just find one of the 19, like they do at the state level, like they do at the federal level, to introduce it on your behalf. There's an exception for budget transfers, grant appointments, mayoral appointments, things that are the remit of the executive branch. But if it's policymaking, it's the remit of the legislative branch. And I'm sure there's easily one of the 19 that'd be happy to do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. President.
Yes, sir, thank you. Through the chair, I just wanted to let you know why I did put it out, because I wanted it to come to the committees and we work it out and get it where it needed to be, but that's why I did what I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Please open the ballot, record the vote. I've lost my ability. I got it.
8 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you have approved 2025-285 as amended. All right. Turning to page 5, item number 6. I need a motion to withdraw. Motion and second to withdraw. No one in the queue. Please open the ballot. Record the vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you have withdrawn 2025-291. Item number 7, 2025-361 is deferred. Item number 8, we've already dealt with. Item number 9, 2025-372. Motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, the amendment just clarifies that these grant funds will purchase one of the Magnus Elite control devices.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. Have a motion and second on the bill as amended. No one in the queue. Open the ballot. Record the vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-372. Item number 10, 2025-373. Have a motion and a second on the bill. Mr. Lanen.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say there's going to be a lot of bills that say Travis Jeffrey. Appreciate Mr. Jeffrey meeting with me for about an hour, walking through all of them. Through the Chair, Mr. Jeffrey, there's a lot of money here for affordable housing, homelessness, I think a few other things. Do you have what the total amount is on all of the bills that you have before? Say, I just want to make the point that there's a lot of money that's going into those initiatives.
Yeah, good morning. Travis Jeffrey, Housing Community Development Division. Through the chair, so we have about $4.1 million in the creation of affordable housing within these bills, and then about $7.3 million in what we call sustainability. That would be our own occupied rehab programs, foreclosure intervention, heirs property, stuff like that as well.
Through the chair, thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. And like I said, I'm a yes on all of these, and I'll have no further questions.
Okay. No one else in the queue. Please open the ballot. Record the vote.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-373. Moving on to page 8, item number 11, 2025-374. Motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will attach a revised Exhibit 2, which is the CIP, to remove this $200,000 study from the CIP. CIP projects may come out of the study, but the study itself is not part of the CIP, and then place a grant agreement on file for the $100,000 grant the city is receiving from the Fish and Wildlife Foundation.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. No one in the queue. Open the ballot. Record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-374. Item number 12, 2025-375. I have a motion and a second on the bill. Please open the ballot. Record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-375. If you'll turn to page 9, item number 13, 2025-376. I have a motion and a second on the bill. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-376. Item number 14, 2025-377. I have a motion and a second. Let's have Mr. Peterson explain it first.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will attach a revised Exhibit 2, which is a CIP, to correct the prior year appropriations for the countywide intersection bridge project.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-377. Item number 15, 2025-378. Pardon me? Oh, Ms. Pittman. I'm sorry, I had you listed there.
I'd like to abstain from this bill because the Clara White Mission may have an opportunity to apply for some of these funds. And so, as out of abundance of caution, since I am the CEO and president of the Clara White Mission, and we're talking about transparency, I want to make sure that I'm transparent. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Pittman. I'll entertain an amendment. A motion? Second, please. Can I get a second, please? All right, we got a motion and a second on the amendment. Can someone please explain the amendment?
Through the chair or vice chair to the committee, the amendment will include an authorization to execute an agreement with Changing Homelessness for a not to exceed $25,000 amount for data collection services. That was included in the all the paperwork filed with the legislation, but not authorization within the bill. And then also add a code section waiver 118-107 to direct contract with Changing Homelessness as they are a nonprofit.
All right, thank you for the explanation. Seeing no one in the queue, open the ballot and record your vote. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those opposed have the same right. The amendment carries. Thank you. We got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Seeing no one in the queue, please open the ballot and record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
By your actions, you've approved 2025-0378 as amended. Takes us to the next item, item 16, 2025-0379. Got a motion and a second on the bill. Seeing no one in the queue, please open the ballot and record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By your actions, you've approved 2025-0379. Takes us to our next item, item 17, 2025-0380. Got a motion and a second on the bill. Seeing no one in the queue, please open the ballot and record your vote.
17? Okay. Okay, got it.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-380. Moving on to page 12, item 18, 2025-381. I have a motion and a second on the bill. No one in the queue. Please open the ballot, record the vote. Thank you.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-381. Moving on to 2025-382. I have an amendment here.
Council Salem, you're recognized.
Thank you. I am, and Mary can jump in here, and I know Councilmember Diamond is here. I'm changing the source of funding for this bill, which I'm very supportive of, to some DOGE savings versus the dollars identified by Councilmember Diamond would fall into the reserves. I'd rather those dollars fall into the reserves and use some DOGE savings, which is some debt savings.
Ms. Stavropoulos, you're recognized.
Thank you. Through the Vice Chair to the committee. So as Councilmember Salem indicated, he would like to amend the bill to provide for a different funding source, which is basically a closed project account that was identified through the DOGE process. So a project that was within the CIP was ultimately closed, and those funds are available to the tune of $1.1 million. So essentially what we needed, or what was needed for this particular appropriation. And so that is the account that the funds would come from in lieu of what was originally proposed in the bill.
All right, thank you. So we're on the Salem amendment. In the queue, we have Councilmember Diamond Arias, and then we have a guest member visiting, Councilmember Carlucci. Councilmember Diamond, is this on the amendment?
It is.
Can we get a second on them? Yes.
Through the chair to council auditors, we talked about this offline. I just love to have this up on the record. There's really no change for Jack's Beach. They'll get the money regardless, same time, same basic effect, just different source.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Arias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Vice Chair. But I have a question regarding to the auditors for the Jack's Beach component. We've appropriated dollars in the past to Jack's Beach, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach for lifeguard stations. I think this year alone, in the tune of almost $1 million for lifeguard stations. So what's different from this that we haven't already done?
Through the chair to Councilor Arias, you're correct. The city funds lifeguard and beach maintenance for the 3 beaches on an annual basis to the tune of probably about $1.5 million for all 3 combined. That's pursuant to the interlocal agreement that we have with each of the beaches communities, where by the initial amount was established that we were funding approximately half of the cost, and that cost goes up each year by a maximum of 3%. So we do fund that. We have also funded recently improvements to the Atlantic Beach lifeguard station, probably about $750,000 in years past. I don't recall us making any improvements to the Jack's Beach lifeguard station.
Okay, so needless to say then, Jack's Beach lifeguard stations, Mr. Diamond, is needed, and I'm assuming would this, I guess, meet the needs for future lifeguard stations, or should we expect something else coming back next year for other beaches?
All right, thank you, Councilmember Arias. So, Councilmember Diamond, I believe Councilmember Arias is asking a question. Would you care to answer that one, or do you?
Yeah, through Councilman Freeman to Councilman Arias. Yeah, there's 2 big stations. One is in Atlantic Beach, which just got done, and then this is the historic one in Jack's Beach, which is being done. And so I don't foresee me introducing any other bills about capital improvement for lifeguard stations in my term.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's why, because I know that we did one already, and I was like, is this the same one? Are we funding it again? But they're 2 different ones, so thank you so much. Definitely will support this.
All right, thank you. Councilmember past President Carlucci, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a comment that Mayor Chris Hoffman brought this to my attention while I was on vacation, and I told her, look, don't go any further. I know what you're doing. I'm all for it. Like a lot of us up here who are natives, we've seen that life station our whole life, and it's an icon, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, please.
Thank you so much, Councilman. Seeing no one else in the queue, all in favor of the Salem Amendment, please say aye. Those opposed have the same right. The amendment carries.
I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. I want to make one comment for the committee. Where this money came from, I think, is very important to this committee. There were $9.8 million in debt savings. Councilmember Diamond appropriated roughly 1.1 originally. There was $357,000 of this transferred by the mayor through her budget authority to the public defender's office and the state attorney's office. Just recently, that is correct. Now, I say that for two reasons. If y'all recall, during the budget process, there were some requests by the state attorney and the public defender that were not budgeted. And they came to me as the finance chair, and we found some money and actually took care of them. Now we've got money through her budget authority up to $500,000, so she's able to transfer $357,000. These dollars will fall, if not appropriated, to the general fund, which I think all of us would be in favor of. She has a bill coming through that I think has been introduced for approximately $8 million of this money to go towards our benefit debt, group health. I'm not going to comment on that here today, but just be aware of that. So this $9.8 million, which would have fallen into the operating reserves, is being swept up. So just be aware of that. Okay. So I have no one else on the queue. Have we voted on this? Amendment. Okay. No one else in the queue, please open the ballot, record the vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-382. Okay, moving on to page 13, item number 20, 2025-383. I have a motion and a second on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-383 as amended. Item number 21, 2025-384. I have a motion and a second on the bill. I have no one in the queue. Please open the ballot, record the vote. Sure. Hang on, let's record the vote first. I see Ms. Boyer's in the audience as well. I thought one of you would speak.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-384.
Thank you, Chair. And I do see Ms. Boyer. Ms. Boyer, if you don't mind, please coming up. This is one of, actually number 2 of 3, if I'm not mistaken, or 1 of 3, but we have 3 bills that we've been working on with the DIA, and I know that President-elect Carrico will be bringing his own, but Ms. Boyer, if you don't mind expanding on this one, just because there's definitely a need for parking in downtown, and this is still something her and I have been working on in the last couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Boyer, DIA. Through the chair to Councilman Arias, appreciate your support as the liaison to help us get some of these pieces of legislation introduced. This went through our board in February of 24. And this legislation mostly is updating code language to do things like where it says parking meter everywhere, and we now have parking apps, and we have kiosks, and we have multiple ways to pay to make sure that the language is consistent. But there are a couple points of significance. One is one I've worked with Councilman Arias on, which is it authorizes us to have a voucher program in the 2 food and beverage dining districts, one using the Ed Ball Garage in the evening and one using the Yates Garage in the evening. And to the extent these are city-owned assets, kind of sunk costs in them, if we can facilitate the growth of those dining districts and those entertainment areas and provide people safe parking in the meantime, they have CCTV cameras in them, we think it's a great opportunity to do something good with an asset that we already have. So that voucher program program. I know in the summary it contemplates that there might be the need to add a staff person. We don't believe there is because they're automated, and we've already done a pilot on it for the LARC. Some of you may have attended an event there where they used it. So those are the major things. There's a couple other updates that Vice Chair Freeman will be familiar with because they're things that I talked to him about a year and a half ago when we were saying we need to make some code changes to be able to actually modernize and consider other alternatives. So thank you for your support.
Ms. Boyer, I have a question. Through the downtown committee, I often walk from here to lunch and go down about 3 or 4 blocks, and I have owners of establishments grab me and say, look, these are all city vehicles here. No one can come to my restaurant, my shoe shine shop to stop in because they're all city vehicles. Does this bill in any way, shape, or form address that issue?
It does not, but we would love to. So there's a whole variety of different issues associated with that. It ranges from JSO vehicles and JFRD vehicles. I attended a True Commission meeting recently where they were concerned about all the JSO vehicles parking all over the area surrounding the courthouse and taking up on-street parking. But as you know, various first responders have needs to park close to where they need to be because they run in and out for things. Then you have JEA that has, by code, on-street parking use, and as long as they're in a particular vehicle. Then you get to like Public Works or Planning that's using a city vehicle, and maybe it's parked somewhere else and they have to run into the Ed Ball building. So there's a whole different array of those users. We do have some systems. We have for the city departments, we worked with council auditors, I think it was 2 years ago after an audit, and have come up with a placard system where the department has to buy a placard, and they're not supposed to be parked at a meter unless they have that department placard on it. Any other car is supposed to be able to be ticketed. But the challenge is just multiple rules. Would love to remove some of those and have people park in garage spaces instead rather than on the meters, because the meters are supposed to be for the merchants.
I'll let you pass that on to your successor, and maybe that's something that can be addressed, because we're trying to promote these businesses downtown, and people can't park near their businesses. It just, and I'm sure there are some of those that are needed, but I wish we could reduce it in some fashion.
I totally agree with you, and we did have a study, and it made some recommendations, and if you're willing to tackle it, we will.
Okay. I have, and I didn't mean to open up a can of worms here, but I think I have, and I didn't mean to do that because we have a full agenda, but President-elect Carrico.
All right, thank you for recognizing me. And Mr. Salem, when you launched the Downtown Committee, this was important to you, so we didn't get it done this year, but I'm going to keep that committee going next year, and we'll have plenty of things to work on as we continue to improve the vision for our downtown. This legislation did start with some emails and correspondence with Ms. Boyer, but Councilman Ayers beat me to the punch as the DIA liaison, so thanks for getting it done, although our downtown committee bill passed faster than this one, so congratulations. But we'll keep it going. We'll address it and try to find a landing spot for that as well.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and glad to support it. Did have one concern, which was kind of in that lane of consistency and picking winners and losers. I'm sure you recall 2 years ago, I had a couple of restaurants that were being challenged with people who were picking up their lunch, and they were getting ticketed as they would park and run in and run back out. And you all, thank you. I think the administration at that time helped me as well with that, but we're doing something for dinner, which is obviously a time when the garages are open and they're full, but we're not necessarily taking care of some of those restaurant owners that don't operate during those hours. Is there an appetite maybe through the committee later to look at options for them to maybe either purchase some parking spots in front for pickups, or I just would like for them to be added to the conversation so that we're getting the whole ecosystem involved with this type of parking challenges that they're facing. Just wanted to put that comment on the record. Thank you.
Well, and through the chair, if I may, to Councilmember Freeman, one of the things you see in other jurisdictions in which we've tried to give the DIA the authority to start bringing to you some kind of more modern programs and ways to approach things is in a lot of cities nowadays, they have a loading zone is a loading zone from 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. until 8 a.m. And then after 8 a.m., it's not a loading zone anymore. It may be an Uber and Lyft drop-off, or it may be that kind of a restaurant pickup, where by time of day, you can have a different use in a spot. And it makes great sense to do that. We just had some language in the code that prohibited kind of different times of day, different pricing, and all that. So what we tried to do is give us the flexibility to come back to you with specific programs. I think that is one way to address it, because we have these static loading zones that really are not designed for people picking up food, but they also shouldn't be used at noon.
I've got Councilmember Arias, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Chair. I wasn't done, and you hijacked my time, by the way. All right. So I'm going to start off with 2 points. Number one, Council President-elect Carrico, I slowed this bill down to give you guys the opportunity to present your bill, all right? So I was just doing that as a common courtesy, all right? Because I could have done this months ago. But the most important thing about this bill is the fact that right now we're trying to push people to downtown, especially for nightlife, for restaurants, and so that's why we focus on the dinner crowd. But absolutely right, Mr. Freeman, we definitely could look at doing some lunch components soon, so I'm on board for that. The part that wasn't really spoken about was the last bullet point here, which to me is, this is not just a bill about restaurants, about people getting to restaurants, it's also about revenue for the city, right? And so when we're looking at dynamic parking, you're looking at the Jaguars. When we have a game, you're having people charge $50 to park your car in a random lot of somebody's house, yet how much are our city meters, Ms. Boyer?
Free.
Free.
The meters are free, have been in the past, free on the weekend. And so the idea here, again, there's no charge right now, but the idea with the legislation is it would allow us to come back to you with a proposal that within a certain zone around the stadium on game days, or when there's an event at Daly's Place or whatever, the on-street meters could have a fee associated with them, and perhaps it's $20 for the 4 or 5 hour period or something. But the idea is there's no reason not to drive revenue from those.
Yeah, so that's the reason, the essence of the bill, is just to bring more revenue to the city. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
And I'll see you for the third bill, all right, at some point next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyer. Okay, moving on to page 14, item number 22, 2025-385. I have a motion and a second on the bill. We have a rules amendment here. Oh, motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, the rules amendment modified the appropriation to place the $45 million to various contingency accounts to include $30 million for activities including but not limited to the downtown riverfront residential incentives, $5 million for activities including but not limited to countywide affordable housing, and then $10 million for activities including but not limited to countywide workforce development improvements at FSCJ, the JU Youth Sports Project, and then also Downtown Preservation and Revitalization Program. Attaching a revised Exhibit 1, which is the BT, to reflect that change in appropriation. A revised Exhibit 2, which is the downtown map, was to extend a little bit east to include the Berkman sites, and then also authorize carryover of funds to fiscal year 25-26.
There's several people in the queue. Are you here on the amendment? It sounds like you are. Let me go to President-elect Carrico first.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to come and add my 2 cents to this committee. I attended Rules yesterday. This bill spawned out of the Future of Downtown Committee, where we looked at Bay Street as a vital corridor in the city to activate really the overall future of downtown when you try to connect the stadium to the UF grad campus. These lots that are identified on this map are very vital to that. So I supported it in its infancy at $45 million. But when we went to the notice meeting that the bill sponsor had, I knew that $45 million was going to be a tough lift to put it all in one spot, particularly probably with this committee. So we started talking about other priorities that other council members had, other things that we could use these dollars for that would spur economic development and really help the big picture of where we're trying to take this city. So we started talking about initiatives around workforce development, which is really important when you really
talking about fixing the problem. You're educating a workforce to be able to afford housing and be able to, make a difference in the economy. So that's how we started talking about JU, FCCJ, these things. The bill sponsor obviously is out of town, so I said I would try to show up and carry the conversation for him with any questions, because I've kind of been around it. I also spoke with Tim Koss, so if you have follow-up questions about JU and that project, I'm here to answer those. And really, overall, I just support it. I do support the amendment. Moving the boundary seems like a good idea. There was one kind of empty lot missing down there on Bay Street that I think we could help support the revitalization of. So I do support it. The affordable housing piece was kind of the one that was thrown in as a one-off that hadn't really been discussed. The fact that there is a match out there where that $5 million turns into $20 million for a problem that we all know is relative leads me to support that, because we probably wouldn't find the dollars in the budget or elsewhere. So if we can put 5 up and get 20, I think that's good for the city. So I support the amendment. Look forward to what everyone says here. But this is finance, so I will remind you this bill doesn't actually spend any money. It just allocates it to different contingencies for later consideration for this body. So that's what I have to say to open up, and here for questions till about 11:35.
Thank you. Let me go to Councilmember Lanin.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Mr. Peterson. So I think I can get behind the rules amendment. A couple things I just want to verify, though. So all we're doing with all $45 million is we're moving it into a contingency account, which then would essentially be below the line, which would require 2/3 to bring it back up for anything. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lanin, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. And through the chair, get to Mr. Peterson. Just talking through a hypothetical situation here. So we already know it's going to be a tight budget year. We saw JSO, JFRD's request at MBRC last week. It's going to be the first time a lot of us have dealt with an escalator that was less than 3% on Save Our Homes, so we don't know what revenue is going to be. And so looking at everything, say we get submitted a budget, and just hypothetically here, I don't want Ms. Sickler to panic, but say the Public Works Department gets a budget that we think is too low. Is there a way that then we would be able to, even though it's sitting in one place now, is there a way that we could decide, okay, well, this money, no, we need to move it somewhere else budget related during that budget process?
Through the chair to Councilmember Lanin, there is a way to do that. Our office would encourage you not to use this one-time funding for operating expenses, but through a 2/3 vote, you could include it in the budget for other purposes.
Through Chair to Mr. Peterson. Great point. Also, one of the things I meant to say is with our bill 2024-09990, which I introduced, and I think most people up here co-sponsored, it does limit how much of the general reserves could be used to consider the budget balance when it's submitted to us. So I just want to make sure that if we, a month from now, we're looking at the budget and we think, hey, actually, we need part of this to balance our budget based on what was submitted to us, we still have the flexibility. Based on what you said, it sounds like we do, so I will support the rules amendment.
I want to make a couple quick comments. Councilmember President-elect Carrico, that $5 million, it's matched, I think, for $10 million for a total of $15 million. Because originally it was $10 million and we got $30. Somebody help me.
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. Yesterday it was said, I don't remember if it was in NCS or rules, but the gentleman from Community Foundation said it's a 3-to-1 match. So the city puts in 5, they would raise 15 additional.
Okay, I stand corrected. Number 2, if you recall, this was in the mayor's budget last year. She requested 10 for 30. This committee didn't feel like it was tight enough. We didn't feel comfortable with it, and we completely removed it. I don't know if they have improved it or have the dollars now committed or not. I guess time will tell on that. So let me go to Mr. Arias.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually going to start with that. That's exactly right. 11 months ago, they came up to us with the $10 million project, and we denied it just because they had bullet points with no substantial use of the dollars. It was a match, great, but how are you going to use the dollars? Affordable housing is just a word that's thrown out there. So because of that, we decided to deny it. Now they're coming back again, and once again, I asked, well, is there an update to the presentation? And they were like, yeah, we're going to essentially show you what we showed you 11 months ago. I said, well, if that's the case, then why will we even approve it? What's the difference now from now to 11 months ago? There is no difference. Here's the facts, all right? We just saw Mr. Jeffries come up for Bill 2025-0373, 4.1 towards affordable housing, 7.2 for sustainability, a total of $11 million for affordable housing. We are taking care of affordable housing. We're taking care of workforce housing. Here's another fact. In the last 2 years, affordable housing versus workforce development, $37 million, 37.8 towards affordable housing, and workforce development, $4.7 million. Here's the thing. There's a big disparity here. When we had the public notice meeting last week, my biggest factors were, okay, let's address the downtown component, but also the biggest thing we need to address that we never address is workforce development. We heard from NEFBA. I've had conversations with FSCJ and other entities. And the fact of the matter is that the trade skilled workers, it's on demand. If you try to call somebody for HVAC, for plumbing, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. Right now, HVAC, the plumbers, electricians, they're in high demand because of population growth and also infrastructure needs. So if we really want to cure affordable housing, we need to make sure that people are employed, and these potential employees will then become business owners and then also JSEBs. So here's the thing. When we talked about it last week again, I said workforce development should be at the root point of these dollars. We never have dollars for workforce development, so this is our time to leave a mark. As former Council President Freeman said maybe 20 minutes ago, let's put our stamp on something. Well, this is our time to put our stamp on something. Affordable housing has been addressed many, many times, and I'm sick of people saying we never do anything for it when we every year do something for it. I'm willing to still do something for affordable housing, but honestly, when I had the conversation with Ms. Norris last week on this, because there was no plan of action, anything would have been acceptable in their terms. So, Ms. Norris, I'm going to ask you again, from our conversation, $1 or $3 million, would that work for you guys right now?
I believe anywhere from 3 to 5 we would be happy with. It's an opportunity to invest in affordable housing.
Did you not tell me 1 to 3 earlier this week?
I thought it was 3 to 5. If it was 1 to 3, then I apologize, but I thought it was 3 to 5.
Okay, well, it was 1 to 3, and anything would be acceptable in this case. The fact of the matter is that I'd rather see these dollars go towards workforce development, period, right? Would you guys be open with $3 million if that's the case?
So I cannot speak for the potential match. That is an opportunity that's evolving with outside entities. For the city, $3 million to invest in this fund, which would be a gap source for loans for affordable housing projects. We would not say no to that.
Okay, so if we're talking about countywide efforts, workforce reaches all countywide. When we're talking about affordable housing, they're going to pick a neighborhood, and that's all it's going to touch, that one neighborhood. My amendment to the amendment would be, let's scale back the $5 million request, bring it down to $3 million, still do something, some component to affordable housing, but let's really use these dollars for something more meaningful and for our workforce here in Jacksonville, a workforce that really has been neglected for many years. That's going to be my amendment to this amendment, and then on the bill, I'll talk about the rest of the components. So can I...
Is there a second to the areas of amendment? Okay, we have a second. The $5 million down to $3 million is the area. So why don't we clear the speakers and get people up on the Arias amendment? Can we do that? If you'd like to speak on the Arias amendment, pop up. President-elect Carrico.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My one question would be, let's ask the administration if they've had a year and last year the plan was not baked for $10 million and now we're saying we're giving $5 million. I'd like someone from the administration to come up and say, what would you do with that $5 million? What's the plan? And if that's suitable for you, then I would urge you to pass the 5. If that plan doesn't seem like it's baked enough, cut it down to 3. Anyone want to speak to that from the administration?
I think they all left. We're all sitting over here.
No, yeah, from the mayor's office. I understand the match portion of it, but from the mayor's office, what would you do, Mr. Enderhees, as a plan if we were able to include this $5 million, have it matched by 15, we have $20 million? Go.
Good morning, Joe Enderhees, Deputy Chief of Staff for the Mayor's Office, through the chair to the Council President-elect. Yeah, I think that the ideal would be to go out to the market through the Community Foundation, bring in private funds that they are raising currently and are in a position to be able to move forward with. The idea remains a strong one. The plan remains a good one. I think some of the questions that were being asked by the council auditors, the folks who are running the fund are now in a position to be able to have another year's worth of experience to be able to answer, to bring some comfort to this group, to be able to support that idea. The idea of turning 5 into another 15 into 20. If the plan had been approved last year, this is just, you guys made the policy decision that you made, there would be projects coming out of the ground countywide now. I don't see it as and I don't think they see it as a targeted one area spot. To Councilman Arias's point, I don't think it's a dart throw into one spot. I think there'd be enough funds to be able to support projects across the entire county. We see this as the number one priority. You're seeing that from the public. It's not just about, I really kind of want to change this concept of affordable housing. I think when somebody says that, they get a picture of Section 8 housing or HUD housing. This is really about making housing that's affordable, and that is a critical element for everybody in every district, from stem to stern in this county.
Mr. Chair, would you allow me to yield some time to Mr. Arias? I can tell he's burning to ask a question to Mr. Inverhees. If that would be all right.
And as to the specifics of the plan, I'm not expert in the plan itself. I would refer back to the folks over at the Community Foundation and DuPont to be able to give you that, and would be happy to do and set up individual meetings to get into the nitty-gritty details. I don't think this is the spot for that.
Councilor Arias, before I recognize, is anybody from the Community Foundation here? There is a gentleman here. I just want to make sure that's on the record. Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, sir. This bill has been in the pipeline for quite some time. It's been the chatter of the town right now. And the fact is, they don't have a plan, as stated. There is no plan. It's the same plan as last year, as 11 months ago. So the fact that we're even giving them $3 million is a win in their bucket. If they really want this, they should bring it up and put it in their budget. But the fact of the matter is, we're actually extending an olive branch right now. I was watching Neighborhoods yesterday, and Mr. Inderhe said, this 45 should be addressed during the budget. So they don't even want it right now. But we're still giving them $3 million. So what is the plan? Because all I heard was a lot of chatter, but no plans.
Okay. Thank you. Let me go back to the queue. Mr. Lanin. Let me go to Mary first.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just wanted to get some clarification on the Arias amendment to the amendment. So you had indicated that you would like to reduce the $5 million that was set aside for the affordable housing to $3 million. What did you envision for the $2 million? Because we could do a couple of things, and I just want to make sure we're clear on this. Are you wanting, and you mentioned workforce development. So workforce development is included on the list of items that the $10 million is being set aside for. So was it your intent that it be added to that to make it $12 million, or did you want to create a separate line item for workforce development with $2 million being set aside for that?
Through the chair, and Ms. Stefopoulos, that's actually it right there. Adding it to the $10 million, so making it $12 million for workforce development. That's been the narrative this entire time, and I just want to make sure we take care of the workforce.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, now I'm going to Mr. Lanin.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Councilmember Arias, if I understand, the language still is it'll be in a contingency account, correct? Okay, so to the committee, that's really all I care about for today, just to make sure whatever money we move around, we keep in a contingency account so we're not giving up potential financial flexibility for the city down the road. Thank you.
I should also mention just to you, Mr. Lanin, they are required to present to us a balanced budget. So keep that in mind. Okay. Mr. Howland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the Arias amendment to the amendment. And I would like to note that even though it says rules amendment here, most of this was done in neighborhoods, including the apportionment of the $45 million to those three contingency buckets, 35 and 10. Really, the only thing that we added in rules is that language, including but not limited to. It was on one of the buckets, the 10 million, but it wasn't on the other two. So the rules amendment added those, and then we rolled together the amendments with neighborhoods to make it the rules amendment. And why that's important is, as Mr. Lanin mentioned, each one of these buckets takes 2/3 vote by city council to pull it out. And Adding the including but not limited to provided more flexibility for us to pull it out and use it as we see fit in case priorities change when we actually see what our revenues are going to be here in a few weeks. We have that opportunity to compare and rank order our priorities during the budget hearings based on the revenue available to us when we see it. One other thing that I wanted to mention, and this relates to let's see if I can pull up my email here that I just had. Yeah, here we go. This relates to affordable housing. To say that we don't do anything as a consolidated government of Jacksonville is absolutely misdirection. And why? I asked the CEO of the Jacksonville Housing Finance Authority just the other day to tell me about all the projects they've done in the last 5 years. And here's a quote. Over the last 5 years, since June 30th, 2020, the Jacksonville Housing Finance Authority has provided financing for 2,650 affordable apartment units in Duval County, including $251 million of tax-exempt multifamily mortgage revenue bonds, $576 million of total development costs, and $8.24 million of JFHA, Jacksonville Housing Finance Authority loans. And that's on top of all the individual appropriations we've done to incentivize affordable housing. So just because we didn't approve that $10 million last August doesn't mean this body does not make it a significant priority. We have made it a priority. So is the consolidated government of Jacksonville. Thanks.
Committee members, we have a Doge meeting at 12:30 and have quite a few bills after this. I'm going to ask to put the clock on 2 minutes for each person so we can try to move along here. I have Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to be clear and state that I do appreciate anytime a council member does their due diligence to find money. And so Councilmember Joe Carlucci, however he worked it out, found these dollars. It's unfortunate that he's unable to be here to defend it, but we understand we all have lives outside of here, and he is unable to be here. That being said, Councilmember Ars, you're making me split the baby, because those areas are both areas that I'm strongly passionate about. And so I just wanted to go on record and share, and there's a saying up here, don't ever tell people what you're thinking, because then someone's going to take your idea. But I'm going to say it anyways, because I'm just not a very good secret holder. But I'm currently working on a project right now that I think is going to scratch your itch. And it's going to be, if it does come to fruition, with JSEBs playing a part in this workforce / affordable housing conversation when it comes to single family homes. So there's something in the hopper coming. Wherever the monies are parked, they're going to still be able to participate in it. So if it stays at $5 million, hopefully I do bring this bill forward. You're going to see organizations coming and trying to pull it from there. If you move it, pull it from there. So I appreciate the work you're doing in it, and I will support your amendment.
Okay. Councilmember Matt Carlucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Former Council President Carlucci would like to say this. I know you're laughing, but you know what?
No,
I've had to call people doctor that I've never called doctor and professor, and hell, why can't I get council president? I did it before. All right, I got that out. I've listened to what everybody has said. I thought the neighborhoods amendment came through 6-1. I think perhaps the other member would come over and support it, but I have no reason to believe that, but I think he might by his tone. I think my son, and I have not been talking to my son, he's suffering in Hawaii, and with the spotlight on my son and I being related in the Sunshine Law, we stay far away from that. But I've known my son longer than any of you have, because I remember when he was in his mama's womb, and he was a troublemaker then, I'll tell you. But that was a joke, so okay to laugh. So this is my concern. First, let me go to taking the housing down. I never suggested we don't do anything with housing. I just saw it as an opportunity for the council to take leadership on something I thought was an important issue. I had an amendment in neighborhoods, but I didn't get a chance to present it because I'm not on that committee. But I did say that I thought $9 million would be well, but I'd be willing to go with $5 million. So I took it down $4 million, and Ken Amaro actually Councilman Amaro made that point. and I made that amendment, and we took it from 9 to 5. Now we're going down to 3. I think, we could take down to 2.5. I think 5 million is a good settling point. The language, including but not limited to, though, and this is what I don't think my son would like. And
You could wrap up,
Mr. President, I've been sitting here the whole committee. Please give me a little bit of time, okay? I would appreciate it, sir.
If you could try to wrap up, I would appreciate
I am trying to wrap up, sir, but I've been waiting and I'm listening to everything and I'm trying to address every point that I can. And this will probably be my only chance to speak. So, the Howland language, including but not limited to, I think it sounds harmless, and I think it was done in good faith. And I actually voted for the bill with that amendment in there. I didn't vote for the amendment, but I voted for the bill with the amendment in there in good faith. But as I thought about it, it actually weakens the bill. It opens the door for other projects inserted which could or would divert resources from other priorities of the bill's sponsor that he intended to advance. And I think we've got a bill now that's being scrambled up a little bit too much, and not in bad faith, but I think Councilman Joe Carlucci needs to be here to anchor what we are trying to do, because we're throwing a lot of different things out there, and I'm really concerned with that, and I think he needs to be here. He didn't want to, but I think we're at the point now where the changes that have been made are so substantial, because I don't think he wants that $30 million to be included but not limited to, because if somebody comes else in with something and takes part of that 30, he's got to be happy, because he's done give up $15 million and freed up $15 million with the help of our council incoming president to spread the money around a little bit. But he did have certain things he wanted those dollars to go to, which were in an email, and also he spoke to Ms. Norris about, which housing was a part of it, affordable housing. So at this point, Mr. Chair, I would respectfully ask you to consider deferring the bill, because I don't think it's fair without the introducer being here. And I don't think he wants to mess with it when he's in Hawaii. I wouldn't bother him for nothing with it, and I couldn't anyway. But that's what I'm saying. I think we're outside the realm of what his intent was, and I just think I think we're in troubled waters with that, with the introducer. Thank you.
I'm not going to defer the bill. Councilmember Arias?
Yes, sir. I was actually going to.
Third time, please.
This will be very quick. I was at the public notice meeting last week. Mr. Mike Carlucci, Mr. Joe Carlucci does not want this deferred. He wants this taken up right now, no matter what the position would be. So I definitely recommend we take it up right now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
There won't be a deferral. Hey, Councilmember Peluso, please, 2 minutes, and then we're going to vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. It's actually Lieutenant Commander Peluso. I mean, might as well. If we're all doing ranks and stuff, why the hell not? To the point that was made about the money that we do put into affordable housing, I do think that's a valid one, but I will also say a lot of that money is federal dollars. So we're kind of just the pass-through for that. And with federal dollars, there's a lot of strings attached. So if we were to have more of a role to play in affordable housing, now we would create those strings, and we would be the ones to really kind of make sure that the products that we want are getting through, right? I mean, perfect example, the revolving loan fund is federal dollars. So there's a lot that we have to deal with that. When it comes to this affordable housing trust, this is based on the self-help model. This has been used in several other self-help credit union. It's been used in a lot of other cities and states, primarily in North Carolina. So this is a model that has been working a lot. I think all we're doing is putting money into a contingency fund for us to develop the rest of the plan. That's my understanding of it. And as much as I wanted $10 million yesterday, I'll be very happy with $5 million. That makes sense to me, especially if we're able to leverage private dollars, right? That's the beauty of having the community foundation involved. But it's going to be self-help that's actually going to put out the loans, as I understand it. And for us, I know one of the conversations or concerns was, well, okay, how many units do we get? What do we want? How does this work? So I think we just kind of put that criteria on there. Hey, we'll only give these dollars out to some sort of project that's 20 or 40 units or more, and 10% or 20% will be affordable. Like, we can create that criteria. But to have $5 million, I think is incredibly important. I spoke with the Jaguars this morning about whether or not this could be used as CBA dollars, something that I know might pique the interest of some of you. It's why I wanted $10 million, because we might as well go for the full Monty. They said that they'd be interested in making sure that we, because it would be a loan, that's the concern. So maybe we make it a forgivable loan if so many units are actually built in a certain amount of time. Like, those are the kinds of things that I want to talk about. And it feels like this bill is $45 million just kind of came out of nowhere, and we're fast tracking it very quickly. So I just got to say, if we can keep the $5 million with the possibility of using CBA dollars, I'd be comfortable with that. I'd love to kind of be able to sit on this a little bit more and get more input. Otherwise, I do have conversations I want to bring up involving the downtown piece of this. So thank you, Chair.
Okay. All those in favor of the Arias amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, the Arias amendment passes. Now we're voting on the rules amendment as amended.
Mr. Chair, you'll want to request a motion on the rules amendment as amended by the Arias amendment and get a second on that.
Okay, I got a motion in a second. I have no one in the queue. All those in favor of the rules amendment as amended, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Mr. Lanen.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I will support this bill as amended. I think the key word really is "but not limited to" that Councilmember Hallen put into that, because that does give us the financial flexibility going into whatever budget is presented to us. I did want to touch on a couple of things, though, just to reiterate a big concern I've had here. First off, this wasn't found money. I mean, for 8 quarters now, I've brought up the self-insurance fund every quarterly report. If you can recall, we had a good discussion on it last time. We've been over budgeting for it, and so I've encouraged the auditors and the administration to work on it. So this will be a one-time adjustment into how we budget that fund. In the same breath, every quarter, I've pointed out my concern about our group health fund. This is an issue that we have not fixed. And so the bill, last time Ms. Moyer talked about her bill, which is essentially a Band-Aid bill, it's moving $8 million into the group health fund. I believe the last time we had to do this, we used ARP funding, if I recall. So this is the first time we've had to use essentially general fund dollars. In this case, it's kind of like a mini recapture move. But still, this is $1 million to $1.5 million a month that is coming out of this fund. So again, I'll support this, but just remember, this is something we're going to have to deal with. We're moving 45 somewhere, or we're moving 45 million somewhere, but we also got a $12 to $18 million a year impact that we're going to have to start dealing with, because we used ARP funding. We're moving $8 million, but this is something we're going to have to deal with. So just want to make sure everyone clearly knows that this is another liability out there that we're going to have to tackle. Thank you.
Before I recognize Mr. Peluso, I have been harping on the group health fund for well before you came on the council. It is a problem. And for whatever reasons, we've not seen changes in the plan that would bring it back into a positive nature. I hope the administration in their present budget takes some significant action on the fund. Mr. Peluso?
Thank you, Chair. Through the body, one of my concerns about this bill, and obviously I love any dollars that go to downtown, so I am appreciative of seeing these dollars go through. But one of my concerns, and I actually spoke with a number of folks in our auditor's department about this, but like, we're going to be putting millions upon millions into a fund with the expectation, I'm assuming, that they will be completion grants. So is that kind of the intent of the bill sponsor / people I could speak to it? Can you speak to that, Mr. or President-elect Carrico?
Sure, through the chair to Mr. Peluso, not necessarily all completion grants, any way that the dollars can support. So if it's forgivable loans or completion grants, any way that it could increase the capital stack to get projects done on those parcels. Obviously, Rev grants will be a part of it, and traditional ways of funding it. If CRA dollars could be applied as well. So it's not just meant to be, hey, just write a check and go take this to the bank and build something. It should be just considered as a tool in the DIA's repertoire to get some good deals across.
Understood. I guess one of my concerns is, Rev grants are a completely different thing entirely. That would not impact these dollars, it seems. If we're doing loans or we're doing completion grants, it's going to be years before these dollars get spent. So we've got $35 million that's just going to be sitting in a fund for likely 3 to 5 years. Because especially if we're doing completion grants and we're doing a high rise on those properties, it's going to be 5 years before they get paid out. So as I've been kind of saying in other committee meetings, to allow for DPRP dollars to also get access to this fund which again is going to be a policy decision. So just for them to have the ability to use it, that means the Ambassador, the iLife building, Verge-Scott's, the Den, which is the Jones Brothers building, all these different properties in kind of the inner core would now have potential access to these dollars. Then it would go through DIA, then it would come to us. And if we wanted to approve it, then we could. Or if someone does come to develop the Bergman 2 Plaza in like the next 6 months, okay, well, then we'll give the dollars to you. But my concern is we're going to have a lot of money just chilling in a fund for quite some time, collecting dust, and a lot of money for that matter. And we know that there's going to be DPRP projects that are going to be coming up soon. I know Mag's Cafe right across the street is going to be one. Like, we know there's going to be developers that could tap into the dollars earlier. So I just ask that this committee approach potentially allowing DPRP to also use these dollars. I know Chair Carlucci was open to something involving it, but I think this makes sense.
Thank you. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
6 yeas, 1 nay.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-385 as amended. Turning to page 15, 386 is deferred. Page 16, item number 24, 2025-388. Ms. Pittman, did you want to? 16, 2025-388.
To the chair, I believe Ms. Pittman has reviewed several of the items, and on this item and the next one, she will not be abstaining.
Okay.
She just had an opportunity to address that with me a few minutes ago.
Okay. Did someone move the amendment? Second. Mr. Peterson?
Through the chair to the committee, this will be kind of redundant on these 4 housing bills, but they received an updated award letter from the Housing and Urban Development Department, and therefore we have a final amount. So we'll correct the HUD award amount to $3,287,435.97 for a total appropriation of $5,513,108.14. Attach revised exhibits 1 and 2, which are the BT and the schedule of proposed funding, which you do have as an attachment before you for the 4 housing bills to see how they plan to spend those dollars, to correct those amounts, and then attach the HUD award letter as an exhibit to the bill.
I have no one in the queue. All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and second on the bill as amended. Open the ballot, record the vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-388. Item number 25, 2025-389. I have a motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir. Updating the, correcting the HUD award amount to $6,940,619 for a total appropriation of $7,492,238.48. Again, attaching revised exhibits 1 and 2 to correct the amounts, and attaching the HUD award letter as a new exhibit.
Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. A motion and second on the bill is amended. Open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, hang on. By your vote, you've approved 2025-389 as amended. I got them marked. I'm good. All right, item number 26, 2025-930 is deferred. Item number 27, 2025-391. I have a motion and a second on the bill. Mr. Lanen?
Thank you, Chair. I am, as of right now, at least the only co-sponsor for this bill, and appreciate all the work y'all did. Just want to reiterate, I'm hoping that of the money we're able to carve out, it's not all for just different new things, but whatever we can do just on some of the headwinds I've been highlighting, whether it's general fund, any of the $70 million plus putting against directly the cash incentive cliff, as I keep on calling it, next year for our completion grant obligation, or even PAYGO. If we know there's capital projects out there already assumed. We talked about debt a lot this morning. Let's avoid the debt and just pay cash for it. So again, just wanted to reiterate that I hope we see some of those uses with this money too.
Mr. Diamond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to also be added as a co-sponsor, and since we're running late, I don't want to miss my chance to say great work on all the Doge stuff, and great job chairing this committee this year. It was definitely a fight, and it was an honor to be here with you, sir.
Thank you.
Please add me.
I've got a couple of co-sponsors. Did you catch those? Howland and Arias, please. And Freeman? Okay. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
6 yeas, 1 nay.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-391. Moving on to page 18, 2025-402, Ms. Pittman. I have you down.
Again, out of abundance of cautions and transparency, I am the CEO of the Clara White Mission, and this may be an opportunity for us to serve the homeless and low-income families. So I am asking to abstain from this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Was the amendment moved? Second. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, sir. The amendment will correct the HUD award amount and the appropriation to $602,328. Attach revised Exhibits 1 and 2 to correct those amounts and attach the HUD award letter as a new exhibit.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. Motion and second on the bill is amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-402 as amended. Turning to page 19, 2025-403, Ms. Pittman.
Same as before, a lot of clients that Clara White Mission serve have HIV/AIDS or need support, and as abundance of cautions and transparency, I am abstaining from this bill. Thank you.
Get a motion on the amendment? I have a motion and second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, sir. Correcting the HUD award amount to $3,096,252, reflecting $215,577 in reprogram funding for a total appropriation of $3,322,829, attaching revised Exhibits 1 and 2 to correct those amounts, and attaching the HUD award letter as a new exhibit.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-403 as amended. Turning to page 20, 2025-404. I have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment corrects the date of the board meeting where this was approved, revises the language to authorize carryover through fiscal year 27-28, which is when the Riverkeeper report is due, attaches a revised Exhibit 1 with the BT to correct the activity that the funds are being appropriated to, attaches revised Exhibit 3 to include missing attachments and various scriveners in the agreement with the St. John's Riverkeeper and the various scriveners in the bill.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-404. Turning to page 21, 2025-405. Have a motion and a second on the bill. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-405. Thank you, Mr. Fuller, for attending. Turning to page 22, 2025-407. Have a motion and a second on the bill. No one in the queue, please open the ballot, record the vote. Thank you, Mr. Randolph.
6 yeas, 1 nay.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-407. Item number 33, 2025-409. I have a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Arias, on the amendment?
Yes, sir. Well, actually, on the bill, sir. Sorry.
On the bill. Mr. Peterson?
Through the chair to the committee, striking the reference to sales tax being paid on the annual lease fee, that's not an obligation of the city, and then correcting various scriveners.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. Have a motion and second on the bill as amended. Mr. Arias.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. I see an annual lease of $5,400, which comes out to like $450 a month. I don't see Mr. Joseph, but I see Ms. Hunter here. What is who's leasing this? Is this the like the tenant, which is the fish camp, or is it a kayak service? Who's the tenant here that's paying $450 a month? And are they paying CAM? Are they paying utilities? What's the deal?
Good morning, Renee Hunter, Public Works, through the chair to Councilman Arias. So this is a three-party lease. The city, along with Palms Fish Camp, the restaurant that's also leasing the area, is joining in the submerged lands lease with the state, and the city is agreeing to pay the just under $5,500 annual lease fee to the state for this. Parks is currently collecting about $20,000 annually from Palms Fish Camp, the restaurant. They are, both Parks and Palms Fish Camp are using the submerged lands for a boat docking facility. And in Director Joseph's absence, he did give me a little bit of additional information for you.
Thank you. That's actually all I need to know right now. Okay. Thank you so much. Unless anybody else has questions, I just wanted to know if Palms was paying. I want to make sure that they are paying something. So they're paying roughly $1,600 a month is what it seems like. So thank you for answering that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All those have we voted on the amendment? Yes. Okay. Open the ballot, record the vote.
Seven yeas, 0 nays.
By your votes, you've approved 2025-409 as amended. Turning to page 23, 2025-411. I have a motion and second on the Neighborhoods Amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment attaches the final report from the JSEB Special Committee as an exhibit. It includes an amendment to Section 126-606A10 to make the name of the EBO office consistent throughout the legislation, updates the training provided by the JSEB office within 126-606B, clarifies the requirements for obtaining and maintaining a new prime mentor status, that they would still remain eligible for certain aspects of the JSEB program, corrects formatting of the language, strikes a duplicative paragraph, and then corrects various scriveners.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended. Mr. Arias.
Thank you, sir. I'll make it quick again. This is done through the work of the JSEB committee, so I want to thank everybody that was on it. I definitely want to make sure that the administration, because they were there, that will follow through with their commitment to the JSEB office and increasing their appropriation from $500 to $750,000. There's a lot of work here, so I'll just be looking out for the budget cycle to make sure that you guys are taking care of the JSEB committee. Thank you.
Okay. We voted on the amendment? Okay. Please open the ballot, record the vote.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-411 as amended. Okay, we've got several seconds, and they include 421, 422, 423, 424, 425, 426, 427, 428, 429, 430, 431, 433, 434, 436. We're now on page 28. Item number 49, 2025-437. Have a motion and a second on the emergency. Mr. Peterson, what is the nature of the emergency?
Yes, sir. Through the chair of the committee, Lutheran Services lease and license with KHA ends June 30th, 2025. So KHA has requested this to not have any lapse in the time period of their lease.
Okay. All those in favor of on the emergency? Please.
Thank you. And I'm going to speak on the next one, too, and I'll make it quick again. Ms. Sarah Lynn, we had a conversation last week on this and the emergency and definitely want to go through with it. But I just want to make sure that we are only doing 1 year right now, a 1 year renewal, and then next year we have to come back to approve it again, or is this going to be an automatic renewal next year?
Through the chair to Councilmember Arias, the renewals do not require council approval.
Okay. Well, I would like to see this come back next year. And Ms. Sarah Lynn, if you don't mind coming up, please. And I won't bring you up again for the next one, and we'll just kind of address it now very quick. I've had an issue, and I've always said it, with the free leases or $1 a lease per year. And this is one of those examples. Now, while her and I are still working on formulating a better plan of action, this is why I asked her to just do a 1 year versus a 5-year renewal. That way it gives me time to actually come up with a good plan of action for the rest of the city, because right now we're losing a lot of money to these free entities. And now in this case, Lutheran Social Services, they are a nonprofit that's providing services to the city, right? But they're not trying, they're gonna get free rent from KHA. And so the way I see it is, they're getting funding from the city through appropriations. I've had multiple smaller nonprofits reach out to my office many times saying, hey, can we get any free rents from the city? And the answer is no, there isn't any. Go find one. And these smaller nonprofits are paying upwards of $500 a month to $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month. And here we are, we're providing free rent to only the people that actually know people that are connected to us, right? So this is not against KHA, obviously, but I want to make sure that this is across the board. Like I said earlier, we have to be consistent in how we operate. And so what's fair for one, we have to make it fair for everybody else. So I asked Ms. Sarah Lynn to just change it from 5-year to 1 year, so that way I could have a plan of action moving forward so we could address the $1 leases.
Does that require an amendment here? It does. You want to make an amendment? Well, wait a minute. Let's deal with the emergency first.
Sure.
All those in favor of the emergency, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Emergency passes. Mr.
And so my amendment would be to change it from, well, it's already changed, I think, from 5 years to 1 year, but I want to make sure that they come back next year. Prior to renewal.
Okay, so the amendment is reduce it to 1 year, and they have to come back at the time of renewal.
Correct.
And I should also mention, according to my notes, they were paying for this up until 2021. Something happened after 2021 where they got it for free versus paying for it. Is that correct, Dr. Graff?
Yes, and Sarah Lynn Grass, KHA, through the chair. Yes, and basically they need this grant that they get, they have to have a match to be able to draw the money down. And so we were asked to provide more of a match to them, and this is the way that we did it. Rather than providing them funds, we provided them a match through lower rent. So by providing this space, we are bringing more federal dollars into the space. But I understand what Councilman Arias is saying, and I'm happy to work with him on working out what we can do.
And the last point to this will be that not only is it free rent, but they're also not paying utilities, and they're not paying CAM, which means maintenance. So we are fronting so much to them. And it's not about them. It's just in general. I just want to change this narrative for the entire city. And so this is one that came up, and she has another one coming up. And so that's, I'm sorry it's you guys, but I just want to make sure. And thank you for working with us on this part.
Yes, of course.
Ms. Pittman.
Chair, to Councilman Arias, thank you for bringing that up, but I also would just like to share this. A lot of the small and emerging nonprofits may not have the opportunity, but it would be great if we could have maybe some type of organization for those small nonprofits that may need space. It's better when we're putting our budget together, as you know, rather than doing it for 1 year, if we could do it for 3 to 5 years, because it's very, very difficult to just say, let's say you come back here and the year is terminated. So you got to find someplace else to move your organization. But I just want you all to be sensitive to what's going on federally and for some statewide, how this will impact them. And if we have other larger nonprofits or city organizations that can help them, because in the next year or two, it's going to be tough for nonprofits. And I'm sure I'm not telling you things that you all don't know, but as a city, we need to take care of are nonprofits because they're taking care of a lot of the issues that are going on in the community that we may not even know about. And they're small organizations that do what they do. They don't have an accountant, they don't have the insurance, and they don't have A, B, C, and D. And actually partnering with the larger organization will put them where they need to be, and they will also be able to continue to do their work that they do in the community that they've done for years. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the Arias amendment? Okay. All those in favor of the Arias amendment, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. Okay, we have a motion and a second now on the auditor's amendment. All those in favor, please. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. That amendment passes. Yes, we can. So I have a motion and a second on the bill as amended as an emergency. And I have a second. Please open the ballot, record the vote. Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
By your vote, you've approved 2025-437 as an emergency as amended. Okay, moving on to item number 50, 2025-440. Oh, that's right. Yes, that's deferred. Excuse me. The last bill. And we'll have a few minutes to grab something to eat before Doge. Yes, 2025-446. Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be abstaining out of an abundance of caution as I serve as a board member for the Children's Home Society's state board, and I will have those forms filed with the necessary forms filed with Legislative Services. Thank you.
Okay. I have a motion and a second on the emergency. Did I hear that? Second. Ms. Pittman. Go ahead. Please, go ahead.
To the chair, the same as before, as abundant of caution and transparency, I will abstain from voting from this bill, and had a chance to look at the bill, and I can vote. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Peterson, what's the nature of the emergency?
Through the chair of the committee, KHA brought this same grant to the council back in February this year. Having to work out some details with the Department of Treasury, they requested a withdrawal. And so now that having worked out those details, they want to get this grant moving as soon as possible. So that's the reason for the emergency.
Second? Okay, all those in favor of the emergency, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Emergency passes. Mr. Harris, you have an amendment?
No, sir. I just have a question. I'm looking at all the exhibits right now. There's 8 of them, but I'm looking at exhibit 3, 4, and 5, which are, I guess, contracts or leases, Ms. Saralyn, Dr. Grass. Number 1 is for Angel Kids Foundation, which is housed here in Jacksonville, Florida. Number 2 is the Children's Home Society of Florida, which is in Orlando, Florida. And number 3 is Miami-Dade Family Learning Partnership, Inc., which is in Miami, Florida. I don't understand why are we dealing with Orlando and Miami here in this legislation.
Sure. Thank you so much. And through the chair. So Children's Home Society is a statewide organization. Their headquarters are in Orlando, but they operate in almost every single county. They have an office here in Jacksonville. So we're dealing with that northeast region of Children's Home Society. The same thing with the Miami-Dade Family Partnership. They've actually dropped that name, Miami-Dade. It is their proper name in Sunbiz, but they're doing business as without that because they have since expanded statewide as well. And they have an office in many other counties, including they will have one in Jacksonville with a staff person here too. It's just their headquarters.
I got you.
Okay. All right. Well,
okay.
No questions.
I need a motion on the amendment. Okay. Mr. Peterson, can you explain the amendment?
Through the chair to the committee, the amendment just corrects the legal name of the Miami-Dade Family Learning Partnership, strikes the references to a revised BT as the BT is not revised, corrects section numbering, and then attaches a revised on file, which is the award from the Department of Treasury to include all the reference exhibits.
All those in favor of the amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Amendment passes. Okay, a second. I have no one in the queue.
Can I just propose the same amendment?
Yeah,
As the same amendment as the previous amendment, please, for this one. That way it gives us a year to just work on something moving forward.
the Arias amendment is to make the lease for 1 year and have them come back to us at that point. Is there a second on that? Second. I see no discussion. All those in favor of the Arias amendment, please indicate by saying aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Arias amendment passes. Yes, we can. So I need a motion to move the bill as an emergency as amended. And second. I have no one in the queue. Please open the ballot, record the vote. By your vote, you've approved 2025-446. Okay, I think we've finished the agenda. Yes. Ms. Pittman, you didn't abstain on that bill?
I believe, Mr. Chair, at the end of Ms. Pittman's statement, she had indicated she was able to vote. Yeah. She just wanted to put on the record that she had reviewed it because initially we weren't sure.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have finished our agenda. Mr. Lanen?
Thank you, Chair, and through the Chair to the committee. I think you've heard me make the request a couple of times to the administration. I wanted to see of the $26 million in transition money, what had not been spent. I did get that this morning. I've sent it to the auditors to fact check for me, and then whoever's on the next finance committee, I'm going to have them send it out. Looking at it briefly through this meeting, looks like there still is about $4 million that has not been spent that I want to make sure we make part of the conversation as we roll into the budget season. Thank you.
It seems like I saw an email or something where they are going to be coming to us in mid-July to extend some of those programs through the end of October, and I forgot the source of the money. Oh, the money's coming from the airport CRA, and I've asked Mr. Peterson to find out for me what is in the airport CRA that they can use that as a funding source. You may recall that CRA is closed, so if there's dollars left there, I found that interesting. So we'll get to the bottom of that. Anyone else? Mr. Howland?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing as this is the last meeting, just want to thank you for your leadership. This has been a productive, efficient, and entertaining committee, and I've enjoyed it this year. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say. Anyone else? Yes. Mr. Freeman. Past President Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Past President, Mr. Chair. I too want to, in keeping with tradition, thank you. I've grown accustomed to being a part of meetings that you chair or you lead. As always, they're efficient, they're well run, and I do feel that you give everyone a chance to speak. Although you may limit it at times, we do all get a chance to speak, and I appreciate that. So thank you for your work.
Thank you so much for those comments. Anyone else? Ms. Pittman.
I too, Mr. Chair, just want to say thank you for your leadership and your support and listening, because a lot of times we differ in what we believe in, but be able to have a voice on here and that the members take heed, at least an opportunity to see a different side. And so I just want to thank you for your gift, because I love chocolate, appreciate that, and appreciate the leadership of all of you all going forward, because again, I want to just make it known and put it on record that I want us to really work together and put the money where it needs to be put in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Arias.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to thank you for your mentorship, not just right now, but also in the first year as president of the city council. So thank you for the gift. It's not good for my six-pack, but I'll definitely indulge today. All right.
Okay. And I think you're on Doge, so hopefully I'll see you in 20 minutes. Thank you so much, everybody.
Did you get that six-pack on record?
It's on his Facebook page right here.